Well, hello everybody, John Hindhaugh and Jeremy Shaw with Shea Adam as our Continental Tire pit lane reporter in, well, high excitement at the moment, along with a huge crowd here at Lime Rock Park at Lakeville, Connecticut. A 1.5-mile track that tests every metal, every fibre, concentration and skill of the drivers and teams. 7 corners. This track been around for 60 years this year. Big Ben turns 1 and 2. The braking area there is one of, if not the best overtaking manoeuvres on the circuit. A possible coming down the hill at turn 7, but only if you get in position really early. And even if you're passing another class of car, a GTLM or a GTD, it is not an easy pass to do if you don't get a little bit of cooperation from the person that you are trying to put the move on. The cars are rolling around this picturesque circuit. Jeremy Shaw, 2 hours and 40 minutes. It's not going to be long enough for us because we always want more, but I tell you what, this is going to be 2.5 hours of the most intense racing for most of these teams this year.
Well, it really is. It's intense is absolutely the right word, because there's a lot of pressure on these teams, a lot at stake. You know, championships for some teams or just wins for others. But because it's so competitive, there's just no room for error. But because it's so competitive, you're going to try to make the passes early on in the race and make up track position. But it's in some ways it's a recipe for disaster. But these are all professional drivers. It's a really quality field of drivers here, and I'm pretty confident we're going to have a good, clean, fast race, right?
I love your boyish enthusiasm. The temperature's much cooler than yesterday, and Michelin telling us that this opens up opportunities with tyre choices for the GTLM. Remember, those cars do have tyre choice. The operating temperatures of the slick racing tyres chosen by the teams at the start of the season. They have different types of tyres. Might not use all the same tyres on each corner of the car, Jeremy.
No, generally speaking, you'll have a symmetrical lineup of tyres. You know, the same compounded tyres on all 4 corners of the car.
So if you've got compound B, you'll have compound B all around.
Indeed, but because this is a right-hand track with only 1 left-hand corner, the vast majority is a long left-hand corner, admittedly, but because it's predominantly right-hand layout, then it's a left-hand side tyres that take a lot more grief than the right side tyres. So there's an opportunity perhaps to think about putting softer tyres on the right hand side of the car.
Shea Adam is in the pit lane for us this afternoon, and Shea, the battle at the head of GT Daytona, Pat Long coming back to the championship up against Madison Snow on that front row, but we can't forget Lexus and BMW right in behind them.
And Acura and Mercedes, and I mean, it's just part of the great battle that we have here. But part of the effect today will be from the temperature. Yesterday, it was very hot. Our track temperature was up around 109 earlier today. Not so bad. We were looking at about 82 with the cloud cover. Thought it was going to stay the same. It's not. It's 106 degrees Fahrenheit right now, so the people out in the cars feel like this is a familiar position. It's basically what they dealt with yesterday, and as we saw in qualifying, those Porsches were strong in GT Le Mans.
Yeah, that's a very good point, Shea. The Jimmy Bruni on pole position there, with Richard Westbrook. Now, Richard is known for doing the eco, the economy part of the eco boost driving that 3.5-litre car is well known for now. But when you've got Dirk Werner and John Edwards and Tommy Milner and Jan Magnussen behind you in Porsche, BMW and Chevrolet Corvette, as well as your own teammate, just how economic can Richard Westbrook be at the start of this race?
I did see his shoes, John. They were pink and fuzzy.
This is the ongoing joke that we're having with Jesse's wife about whether he wears pink, fluffy, bunny-eared slippers around the house to be able to be so gentle on the throttle. Shea Adam will be back with us throughout the 2 hours and 40 minutes and indeed into post-race tech later on today. Clean start key here.
I just noticed number 23 car seemed to be at the back of the field. I don't know whether they made a late decision to change tyres or what, but they were supposed to start several positions, well, a couple of positions further forward from there. So I don't know whether they made a late decision or what, but the number 23 car is on the grid, and Bill Sweedler from Westport, Connecticut will start this race.
Very, very close indeed. The leading pair is Jimmy Bruni, tries to intimidate the outside front row of Richard Westbrook, and that allows his teammate Dirk Werner to come through, and the two Porsches are 1 and 2, and Westbrook has been caught up as the green flag is waved by Ludwig Willich, the head of Region Americas BMW, and we head down into Big Ben's for the first time. A brilliant start by Jimmy Bruni, and only his third outing for Porsche since his transfer from Porsche. Little bit of off-track shenanigans behind, but everyone's still in the right direction, I think. 54 was facing the wrong direction, John Bennett, in the early running. Meantime, the 67 of Richard Westbrook is muscled down to 4th position, with John Edwards having sneaked through into 3rd, and now he's got Tommy Milner and Jan Magnussen for company as well. So if he has got his little slippers on and trying to be very kind to his fuel consumption, he's going to have to fight a bit of a rearguard action. Down across the line, completing the first lap. Remember, this is a time-certain race. It's Porsche, BMW, Ford, Chevy, Ford, BMW in the GTLM. Madison Snows held off Patrick Long in the GT Daytona battle, so the red and black Lamborghini still leads from the dark-coloured 28 Porsche, the Allegro car, in 2nd place, and then Jens Klingmann in the blue and yellow Turner Motorsport 96 BMW ahead of the dark grey and red 73 Porsche of Patrick Lindsay. Then the two bright blue Lexus sitting in 5th and 6th position for Jack Hawksworth and Sage Karam. Andrew Davis has the Audi number 57, the Stevenson car up in 7th. 8th, Corey Lewis for Lamborghini. 9th, Catherine Legg pushed back a couple of spots in the 93 Acura, and Christina Nielsen down to 10th position.
Yeah, and it was a pretty interesting start there. Jack Hawks was surprisingly shuffled back a couple of positions in GTD in the number 15 Lexus, but that was quite a start from Jimmy Bruni. I'm assuming the green flag was already out when he accelerated as fast as he did coming out of the downhill turn. I would have thought the green flag would have been waved a little bit farther down the straight, but in any case, we're assuming that's a clean start. It was a great one, and you got a good jump, and Dirk Werner said, thank you very much, I'll take into 2nd place. But now the number 911 Porsche is under intense pressure from John Edwards in the 24 BMW as they head toward West Bend.
Around the world at IMSA.com and on the IMSA app, as well as XM and Sirius. XM201, Sirius 145, if you are suitably equipped. We're live from trackside at Lime Rock Park. No breaks all the way through now for another 2 hours, 37 minutes and 16 seconds as the leading pair of cars go through. Porsche in 2nd place is Dirk Werner, and he's under pressure. And a little bit of smoke coming from one of the cars in the background there. I think it was the 16. The start is being looked at, Jeremy, certainly. And the Jimmy Bruni got a great run. Whether he heard the green, it was very clever because he backed up Richard Westbrook and then just leaned on him slightly. And there was a little touch as well going into the uphill the first lap around. Westbrook and the number 4 of Tommy Milner in the Chevy Corvette came together as Tommy tried to go around the outside, and Tommy in fact locking up the right-hand side Michelins as he tried to stay off the grass. He would have had to take the old uphill and go straight around if he'd kept on that trajectory, but he falls in behind. Remember our keys to the race, be bold, but there's no point. One of our keys to the race, be bold, but there's no point in giving up that track position and taking you off the lead lap.
And how close is it amongst these leaders? Okay, Jimmy Bruni's checking out in relative terms. He's got a couple and a half second lead over his teammate, but on lap 2, it was the BMW of John Edwards set fastest lap of the race. Lap 3, it was Richard Westbrook in the Ford that set the fastest lap of the race. And last time around, Jimmy Bruni said, I'll have some of that as well. So he went quickest. 51.55 it was last time around for Jimmy Bruni at the front of the field.
Well, so the fireworks at the start were all of the right kind. And Jimmy Bruni will have, for a few laps at least, a bit of clear track ahead of him, and he's making use of that. 3.2 seconds the gap between himself and teammate Dirk Werner. Both of the Porsches now have had a pole position this season in IMSA competition. Neither of them have had a win. Over in Europe last weekend at the Nürburgring and the 6 Hours of Germany, the GTE category, which is the equivalent of GT Le Mans here in IMSA. Well, the European team did indeed get their win, the first for this new RSR 911, with the regulations being eased in GT Le Mans and GTE, particularly by the FIA and the ACO, the people who run Le Mans. You are allowed to move the engine. Joking with Marco, who runs the Porsche team over here, and saying, so could you put the engine in the front in the 911? Yeah, but why would we do that? Yeah, you have to leave it pointing in the same direction. So if it's a longitudinally mounted engine, it's got to stay longitudinal. If it's transversely mounted, then similarly it has to stay transversely mounted. But you can move it around in the car, and Porsche have pushed the car's engine in front of the gearbox rather than behind it. So it's pulled that flat 6-cylinder engine into the body of the car, changed the balance a little bit, but the primary reason for that was not weight distribution, but was to allow them to get more aerodynamics in the back of the car. The 16 Lamborghini is indeed smoking, and that is very bad news indeed. The right-hand bank of cylinders, Corey Lewis on acceleration and overrun, sitting in 8th position in the GT Daytona category, coming through West Bend now and diving down the hill. Right on the tail of that car is Catherine Legg, so I've no doubt she'll be talking. Now, is that a, well, is it from the engine, or is it might be a tyre rubbing? Yeah,
I think it might be.
Is it a right rear tyre rubbing, Jeremy, on the rear bodywork?
I think it might be, John, yeah, and that's well, it's not much better news, really, because you don't want to puncture around here, particularly not an immediate puncture, a blowout. So if there is some tyre rub there, doesn't seem to be smoking there, does it, as it goes around the left-hander?
It's good news, bad news, isn't it? It stopped smoking. Oh, great. What does that mean? Well, it means it's worn a groove into your Continental tyre. Let's hope it's not fouling the bodywork. Let's not hope it's not too far down that it's going to cause you a problem with a cut tyre.
Tell you what a pace that Jimmy Bruni is setting at the front of this field. Almost 4 seconds he's pulled out now over his teammates. That's a very good pace, let's put it that way. Hopefully he can maintain it, because this track is pretty hard on tyres. It's not a high grip track, and there's quite a bit of slipping and sliding going on. So he wants to make sure he doesn't take too much out of the tyres too quickly. I wonder whether the two Porsches have started on the same compound of tyre.
At IMSA Radio on Twitter, if you want to get in touch with us, although unlikely that we'll have a huge amount of time to answer them all. And off has gone the number 16 car. Still air in that right rear tyre. He's gone off at the entrance to the right-hander, so he's made turns 1, 2 and 3, but he's skated across the grass. Those of you with the long memories who've been here will remember the Maserati MC12 running as a guest in the old ALMS IMSA competition, going off there before all of those barriers were there, and it ended up outside the circuit and in the stream. It was very muddy and damp that year. Now, did he jump or was he pushed? Catherine Legg comes up the inside. She hits the curb. There might have been a touch there on the right rear. Bad news, he's off the track. Good news is I think the bodywork's been changed and moved off the attitude of the bodywork has been changed and moved off the rear tyre. That car is headed to the pit lane, where Shea Adam will watch to see what is going on. Well, no, he's not. He's gone straight by, but the bodywork at the back is slightly deranged. He hit the tyre wall as well. Shea Adam is with the number 16 Lamborghini team and has this Continental Tyre pit lane report.
The crew was not prepared to bring him in before he went off track, and as soon as they saw that the car was up against the tyre wall, they all sprung into action, putting on the helmets and getting ready for a pit stop. Initially, they had one Continental Tyre up on the wall ready to change it, but I guess Corey said the car was okay because they did leave him out. That one tyre has now been joined by 3 more, so they will be testing the car out on this lap, seeing how it is, and then bringing him in soon, but not this next time by either, John.
Well, that tells me, Shea, is that they realised it was a rubbing tyre, and what they thought had happened was it had punctured and taken him off the track. and that's why they had the single tyre ready for them. So already 10 minutes in the book, and Jimmy Bruni has 3.5 seconds of a lead in the number 912 Porsche. The 911 is second and has now shaken off the 24 BMW in their fireworks colour scheme for one more race. John Edwards sitting in third position in that 24 car, now 1.2 seconds behind the two Porsches. 7/10 further back, Richard Westbrook still soft shoe shuffling the Chip Ganassi Racing number 67 GT. Tommy Milner and Jan Magnussen line astern in the 4-3 bright yellow Corvettes, and with barely half a second between them, Dirk Muller and Bill Oberlin bringing up the rest of the GTLM field, as Dirk Verne has just set the fastest lap of the race at a 51.2. Lap record pace here, Jeremy.
The race lap record is...
We smashed the qualifying record already, didn't we?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. The race lap record is a 51.091. So not quite down to that yet. 10th
and a half away. In GT Daytona, it's as you were, Lamborghini, Porsche, BMW, as into the pit lane. That was a flash of car. I think it's the 93 car of Catherine Legge. Is that correct, Shea?
And a drive-through penalty at that, John. So I think we have our answer for the contact with the 16.
The race control decisions have been coming uber quick this weekend. Catherine Legge comes out and is just about to lose the lap to the leaders in GTLM. As she comes out, the 911 of Dirk Werner was just going around, now 2 seconds to the good. The Porsches reveling in this short circuit. Now, despite the fact that the Porsche engine has been pushed forward in that car, Jeremy, I think the biggest surprise from the development team at Weissach and the teams and drivers who've run it is how much the car has retained the legendary Porsche traction out of twisty, medium and slow corners. They expected that to disappear, but with the extra aero that they've got at the back now, with that big diffuser, it's actually still a very well-balanced car and retains all of those old Porsche traits.
Yeah, you're right, and it's proven very good on his tyres, as they had anticipated. And as we can see now, Dirk Werner in second place is now edging clear relatively quickly of the BMW of John Edwards, who instead has his mirrors filled of the number 67 Ford. So having lost that position early on, a couple of positions early on, the Ford in fourth place now. He wants to make sure he doesn't lose too much ground to the race leader. But now the second place car is lapping faster than the race leader in each last couple of laps by 2 or 3 tenths of a second. That's interesting. The race is now settling down, of course, and there's the race coming. Jimmy Bruni slipping back towards the clutches of the pursuers.
It's Jeremy Shaw, I'm John Hindhaugh. Shea Adam is in the booth. No Ferrari in GTLM this weekend. The Risi car taking a bit of a sojourn, little break from competition, nothing to do with its travails at Le Mans. This was planned in advance of the accident, and in fact that wasn't their US car. We had been expecting to see that car back at Road America, but read a story yesterday that went up from Marshall Pruitt on Racer.com just before qualifying. That car will not now be at Road America, but we are expecting to see it through the end of the season. And Coulter and PLM were mentioned in that article. Check it out at www.racer.com. Live on XM and Sirius around the world on the IMSA app and at IMSA.tv. Onboard cameras and the IMSA radio call there for those of you in the States. For the rest of the world, you can see full live and uninterrupted video, as well as our audio via radiolemans.com and IMSA.com. Good to have your company. And as ever, Lime Rock Park delivering good, close, exciting racing. Thank you to all of the fans who've come out to support this event here. The Northeast Grand Prix has been one of my favourite events throughout the years of the American Le Mans Series and now the new IMSA Series. Dirk Werner has closed in on his teammate, Jeremy. Yep. He's pulled out almost 2 seconds on John Edwards. Richard Westbrook has managed to get the tour hook into the BMW and is just letting John pull him round at the moment. Only half a second between third and fourth, but the two Porsches now just within a couple of seconds as Jimmy Bruni's in traffic.
That's right, a change of position. Oh, no, there isn't. The number 4, I was going to say number 4 car had number 3, but that's been the way all the way along.
Correct.
And certainly gaps appearing now between some of these contenders, and I expect those gaps to vacillate. There's more big tyre up there this time from number 16 car, by the way. Huge tyre as it comes down the front straight.
Also, he's done some damage to the wing end plate of that, so they'll be losing a lot of downforce on that car. That looked to be coming from the front of the tyre rather than behind the rear Continental, but it's not good news in any way, shape or form.
No, that's a shame. That team had really struggled in practice and qualifying, but made some changes to the car overnight, and it was much, much better for Jeroen Moul and Corey Lewis. And unfortunately, that contact early in the race has set that team back again. They've had nothing but bad luck this season, it seems. It's about time that turned around.
Just making a note that Christina Nielsen has made up a couple of places, now up to 8th position, having dropped down outside the top 10 on the start, but that's the championship leading car, and that's smart driving from Christina. You don't have to win at the first corner. In fact, you can't win the race at the first corner, but you can certainly lose it there. Track temperature, 108 degrees Fahrenheit. Air temperature in the mid-80s.
Christina
Michelin.
Excuse me, John. Christina Nielsen having, with Catherine Legg now out of the way, she's closing in on that battle between number 14, Lexus of Sage Karam, and Andrew Davis in the number 57, Stevenson Motorsports Audi. That's the car, remember, that won last time out, but the last couple of laps, Christina has been a little bit quicker, and she's edging closer to that battle. It is for the 6th position in GTD.
And this is how they lead the championship, by staying out of trouble and getting the car to the end of the race. No word yet on the start of the race. We'll check in with race control and see if that any decision has been made, but I would have thought it would have come before now. Coming on to 2 minutes and 23 minutes. Shall we do that in English? 2 hours and 23 minutes of this race still to go. It's 23 minutes past the hour here in Connecticut, and Jimmy Bruni is settled into his race pace. 51.9 last time around, his best lap a 51.2. Dirk Werner a 51.2, and it is Dirk Werner who has the fastest lap on lap 12, 269.269 against a 0.275 for Jimmy Bruni. So the two Porsches clearly very well matched. BMW sitting at the moment under pressure in GT Daytona. Jens Klingmann on his own in 4th position in the GTD Championship points standings because of changes to his driving partnerships. Has Patrick Lindsay just half a second behind him. It's a good run by Patrick again. Been very impressed with Patrick's driving this year in the 73 car. And he's got Jack Hawksworth sitting in behind. And then there's a couple of seconds back to the second of the cars. 75 car with issues, and that was Dion von Moltke who started that car. Had not sat in the car all week until he took it to the grid. And there was dust.
Well, I thought he hadn't even sat in the Mercedes.
Well,
until he took it to the grid.
Yeah, I wonder if there was an incident out on the circuit. Yes, there was, and he got shunted and spun around by Catherine Legg in the middle of the second corner. He has stayed out. There was damage to the left rear of that car. Team having a look at it. 93 car involved in 2 incidents already, and we're only 20 laps into the race. It's unfortunate for Catherine. She's trying to get back through the field. Normally a relatively unflappable driver, but has been in, I'm sure what she will think is rather too many incidents recently. It was a couple at the Canadian Tire Motorsport Park when she eased over on prototype cars. Doesn't have the prototypes here this weekend, but contact already that has been deemed as avoidable to the 16 Lamborghini, and be interested to see what happens with the contact there on Dion von Moltke. They were racing for position with Corey Lewis. Check that, sorry, with Cooper McNeil just ahead of them.
And after that spin then for number 75 car, he has been able to resume directly ahead or be ahead of the class leading car number 48, which is Madison Snow. He's got a lead of about well, it's shown now as a couple of seconds over the Allegra Motorsport Porsche driven by Patrick Long. But certainly for Dion von Moltke now, his main focus is to try and stay on that lead lap and hope there is a full course caution.
Drive-through penalty for 93, and that's Catherine Legg again in the Michael Shank Racing NSX. Now,
not so sure it'd be just a drive-through this time, is it?
Well, I was going to say, at what point do you start getting totted up, as it were, and the penalties start becoming stop and hold?
That's a very costly penalty, though. This time she will go off the lead lap. Yes.
There are mandatory penalties or suggested penalties within the regulations for certain offences, and that has been clearly deemed avoidable contact but not deliberate, which is a drive-through penalty. Catherine Legg in and out of the pits. Shea Adam, the 75 Dion von Moltke AMG, is that car okay?
Yeah, just got a thumbs up from Richard Hawkins, who's the lead engineer on that car. He said it looks fine. Dion radioed in, everything's handling well, so they're leaving him out.
And Dion has got back past Catherine after that second drive-through. I would think that they will have to be on their best behaviour on that 93 car.
She is actually still on the lead lap, isn't she? So
she's just on the lead lap, yeah.
It clearly wasn't a compounded penalty, if you like. So
no, it was just a drive-through.
Yeah,
she's still ahead of Dion as well.
She is.
See, now that would annoy me if I was a 75 team, that you've had your driver spun around and the driver who's done it is deemed to be, I'm not saying yes or no whether Catherine was at fault, but the stewards, the clerk of the course, the race director, has decided that Catherine was at fault there, comes in and serves a penalty, but ends up still ahead of the car that she spun around. That doesn't quite seem justice to me. And that's nothing to do with Catherine, and it's nothing to do with Dion, and it's nothing to do with how the laws have been applied. As I said, there are statutory penalties written in the regulations here, and they were applied in that case. Leaders are coming up, leaders of the race are coming up to the third position GT Daytona car, and Jimmy Bruni is through. He's got his teammate Dirk Werner right there now, half a second as they went into Big Bend, turn number 1. And nothing really that Jens Klingmann can do, Jeremy. He's got to just try and stay on the racing line, which he does at the right-hander, turn 4. He just breathes away from the apex a little bit and through goes Werner. But that has cost Klingmann a little bit of time, and Patrick Lindsay's right there now, battling for third position in GTD. One of our keys to the race, traffic management. It's about how you're passed as much as it is about how you do the passing. They'll come down to the final corner, and it will be third, fourth and fifth in GT Daytona onto the Sam Posey Straight, absolutely together. BMW, Porsche and Jack Hawksworth in the Lexus down towards Big Bend. And Klingmann just pulls out a tiny little bit more of an advantage. Under braking there as Lindsay is fighting the Porsche just a little bit. That is not one that does not have the same configuration of aero and engine as the GTLM car. The GT3 version still very much with the engine on the back axle.
2-3 laps ago, the two Corvettes were split by number 66 Ford GT of Dirk Müller, and Dirk Müller now is putting the pressure on the number 4 car of Tommy Milner. He wants to get past those two and set off after the first 4. The first 2 Porsches are still pretty close together. Then a 4-second gap back to the number 24 BMW John Edwards. Richard Westbrook is trailing him.
Jeremy, there's been a conflagration at the front of the field. It is the number 4 and Dirk Müller, the 66 car. And that is at the uphill. There's been a coming together. You said that the Ford driver wanted to be through, and there's been an accident at the uphill. It looks like the luckless Tommy Milner, who was taken out of a great position by the then race-leading Cadillac a couple of weeks ago at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. It looks like he's got trouble. The Ford has definitely got damage. Right front and right rear damage. Tyre smoke coming off the right rear Michelin. They were coming up. In fact, the pass had been made, and Tommy Milner completely losing it, under braking, locking up all four and spinning the car. The initial contact with the front, but the main contact with the back of the Corvette. Extraordinary. Wow. And a very uncharacteristic mistake, and it was a mistake by Tommy Milner. Jinked to the right, trying to get to the inside of the corner, and all four tyres locked up going into the uphill chicane. He just went onto the dirt a moment before. Dirty tyres, I'm not sure. Look, he might have had the right-hand side tyres on the grass.
He did, but the reason he had the right-hand tyres on the grass was because the number 66 car was kind of defending in the middle of the road there, and I think because of that, he wasn't all the way to the left where you would normally be. He braked a little bit earlier than Tommy Milner was expected. Tommy slammed on the brakes, jinked the car to the right to avoid hitting him in the tail, got the wheels on the grass, locked up, spun, and that's when he hit the 66 car.
The 66 is in, and the number 4 car is crabbing its way back round with a broken rear toe link on the right-hand side. Shea Adam is at Chip Ganassi.
They shut the engine off on the 66, John. This is going to be a lengthy fix for the rear end of this car. The damage is actually protruding all the way in front of the number panel and along the sideboard of the car, so it is not just the rear. The Corvette has made it in, although with Tommy Milner's steering capability right now, that too will be a lengthy stop. But they have taken ripping pieces off of this 66 Ford. It's going to need not only a new rear section, but it's going to need some body work for that rear side pod as well. The crew members from the 67 are actually aiding the crew members of the 66 from over the pit wall, passing parts over. The 4 car made it in. They are doing fueling first. I should also mention that they changed all 4 Michelins on the 66 before they began doing any sort of body work to that car. Fuel going into Tommy Milner's number 4 Corvette. They do not have new tires out for it. They're going to fix the toe link first. Looking to see if they can do it on the pit lane. No, they're going to push it behind the wall. Now, Corvette here has a distinct advantage because where Tommy has to go is immediately on the other side of this wall. As long as he can get the car turned and make it around that hard turn, which he does with some difficulty, their tent is set up right there. He can practically drive straight in. So Corvette Racing will get this car fixed. They will get it back out because championship points are not just for the drivers, but for the manufacturer as well. And Chevy is involved in a fist fight there.
That Continental Tire pit lane report from Shea Adam and 2 main contenders. Big drama for them early on then, with still 2 hours and 12 minutes to go, and we've lost Dirk Muller in the 66 Ford and Tommy Milner in the number 4 Corvette. Now, is that the Ford going back out, Shea Adam? Yes, it is. It is. So no major damage to the Ford, although it's dropped laps, Jeremy, and it's dropped, 4 laps?
It is
3 laps this time around.
Yeah, and some pretty substantial damage on that car. The number 96 BMW.
Yes.
What happened to that car? Did we see what happened to that car?
It came in for tyres and fuel.
Yeah, very early on, wasn't it? So earlier than one would have.
I think Shea Adam, let's go down and we'll stop speculating. Shea knows what's been going on here. Shea, what do you got?
Well, the Will Turner's guys thought that it was going to go to full course caution because Tommy Milner had still not come in. So they called in the 96 actually before the 66 even made it into the pit lane. So the Taco Turner car, as it is this weekend, has had 4 tires and fuel, but it is still the same starting driver, Jens Klingman, behind the wheel. Yeah,
and they've dropped off the lead lap in class. There by doing that, and down to 96. It's a gutsy call. If it had come yellow, then it would have been the right one. It hasn't, but they've still got 2 hours and 10 minutes to make it up. You're listening to live coverage from trackside with Jeremy Shaw and John Hindhaugh in the IMSA broadcast booth. Shea Adam, our Continental Tire pit lane reporter, as IMSA Radio and TV are together once again for the WeatherTech SportsCar Championship. It's the Northeast Grand Prix from Lime Rock Park. And dramas already, but not for Porsche, who lead from pole position. Jimmy Bruni has a second and a half again now over Dirk Werner in second. 9.12 from 9.11. John Edwards for BMW in third has dropped 8 seconds away from the Porsche in second place. And he's now looking at his mirror again as Richard Westbrook refuses to be shaken off. Still under a second between Edwards and Westbrook in the now best place for Ford, as it has been for a wee while. Just one of the Corvettes up in the top 6. That's Jan Magnussen now in 5th position in the number 3 car. He's 8.5 seconds further back from the Ford GT, and Bill Oberlin is just half a second behind him in the BMW. The top 6 GTLM cars all on the lead lap and separated by just on 20 seconds. In GTD, it's Madison Snow from pole, who still leads by just half a second. Pat Long really has just thrown a bungee cord onto the back of that Lamborghini. He's not moved. 3 seconds further back.
He's closed it in because there was a couple of seconds between those cars not too long ago.
That's true. And he's down to under half a second now. 2.5 seconds further back, Patrick Lindsay in the 73 Park Place Porsche has Jack Hawksworth for company, but he's pulled out a little bit of a lead there, about a second. Then the second Lexus of Sage Karam is about 4 seconds further back, and then the Audi of Andrew Davis, the 57 Stevenson car, in 6th position. He's got Christina Nielsen now up into 7th, and just half a second behind the top 6 position after Christina very carefully at the start just dropped a couple of positions. Discretion very much the better part of valor for the championship leader. I have no issue with that whatsoever. Now has found a rhythm that she's happy with, and 7th place, the reward for the 63 Scuderia Corsa Ferrari, the bright red car.
You love that whale of the Aston Martin came past halfway around the lap and again now. Things happen so quickly here, but it's great to hear that Aston back in the fray, isn't it?
Magnificent pit work by the Pratt & Miller guys. Tommy Milner's back on pit lane. The unmistakable rumble of the V8, as well as that wheel of the V12 that went through. Shea Adam.
He's coming back out. I just heard a voice in my ear saying that the Ford Corvette is making its way back out onto the pit lane. So that was the correct rumble. Yeah. It's an excellent job by those ladies and gentlemen.
He's going to have dropped 6 laps or so as they get that car back into the race. It hasn't left the pit lane as yet, but it's about to do so. And that, Jeremy, was the bright yellow Corvette going past us. We're on the finish line, and out it goes to rejoin. So Tommy Milner now, start of a long day for Tommy and the rest of the team. Corey Lewis in what was the very smoky Lamborghini, with damage to the rear wing as well, having been nerfed off by the 93 Acura. That car is in the pit lane. Shea Adam.
For a tire change for that number 16, Corey Lewis not even needing a new drinks bottle at this point in the race. He's staying behind the wheel as his drive time has not yet elapsed. That comes in about another 20 minutes or so. And Corey just gets a little bit of fuel, and 4 new Continentals. Have to wonder how worn that right rear is, though.
What Shea's talking about there with the drive time is there is a mandatory minimum amount of time that the drivers have to spend in the car to qualify for their points, and in the GTD the non-pro driver has to spend a certain amount of time in the car for the whole car to get any points.
And that whole battle now in GTD is all pretty close, isn't it? We've got the first four cars separated by not very much. They're coming into the S's now with one car in between the first and second place cars. So there's been the Madison Snow number 48 Lamborghini. Home race, of course, for Paul Miller Racing. Paul Miller Audi, based in New Jersey, less than 100 miles away from here. So they've got a lot of support here this weekend. Patrick Long in the second place car, well, he has support wherever he goes. Yeah. And behind him, Patrick Lindsay doing an excellent job in that Park Place number 73 Porsche in third place, hanging on to Patrick Long. Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah, Patrick Long in a Porsche is as good as it gets, isn't it, really? Yeah. There are very few drivers any better, and he knows this car very, very well. And for Patrick Lindsay to be hanging on there, with due respect to Patrick, he doesn't have the experience and the amount of races under his belt that Patrick Long has.
Well, nor is he a professional driver.
Well, no, indeed, exactly so. And he will be loving this, and his lap times are exceptionally consistent. 54.7 for Patrick Lindsay last time around. His best lap is a 53.6, but everybody's lap times are going down a wee bit. As now, is that the lead just changed there? I think it is. Yes, it is. The lead's just changed as they were coming through traffic. John Bennett being lapped, and through goes Patrick Long in the 28 Allegra Racing Porsche. Took his opportunity. Fantastic piece of opportunist driving. And Pat Long leads GT Daytona for Allegra. And has pulled out a second on Madison Snow. Rather out-fumbled in that traffic. Jack Hawksworth has got the better of Patrick Lindsay as well, who drops down to 4th. But Patrick Lindsay is still within touching distance of the back of the Lexus, where Madison Snow has lost a 1.5 seconds in that exchange. But crucially, still has a car underneath him. In fact, he's still behind John Bennett. And what we've got now is Sage Karam just about to get onto the back of that 3-car train and make it 4. Madison Snow in the Lamborghini number 48, the black and red car. And then behind him, it's the 2 blue machines, and there goes Madison. Oh, and a touch there, I think. Little side swipe from Hawksworth. No, check that. From Hawksworth on John Bennett as he went through. Just lost the car and drifted into the middle of the road. Slight contact. That'll be a nice donut on the side of the 54 Core Autosport Porsche. Core, the same team that is running the Porsches at the head of the field, but under the Porsche GT team banner. Very much been integrated, that event, into Porsche Motorsport North America, or PMNA. And we should mention, by the way, that Jens Walter, who has been at the head of that for such a long time, is being retasked and heading back to Germany before the end of the season. A couple of more races that we'll see him at. But Jens, thank you very much for all you've done. And really driven the programme hard. And pun very much intended. And John Bennett has problems in the 54 Core Autosport car. He's going to trickle down from West Bend under the Bailey Bridge to the pit lane. He's not got an engine that is providing any forward momentum at the moment. Forward motion. Sticking to the inside because he's going to turn right into the pit lane if he can. He's actually pulled the car off onto the grass so that he doesn't sit on the apex of the corner. That's really smart driving. My worry is he might not quite have enough momentum to make it to the pit lane. He's going to be close as in comes a Corvette. So that was a Corvette coming in. Was that Tommy Milner in the 4 car? Yes, it was. So that's all right. That's the car that's already had problems, at least from a Corvette point of view. Jan Magnussen still in 5th position. But Shea Adam is closer than I am. I think John Bennett has just made the pit lane. He
did, and the headlights are on, which is something that also signifies that there is power to the car, so it's not an electrical issue, because normally if that's the situation, you don't get blinded as the car comes onto the pit lane. They are refueling it and changing all 4 tires before they get to work on anything else, so that might just be a situation of Control-Alt-Delete. The headlights are actually flashing on and off as the crew is working on the car. This could be an electrical gremlin.
Oh dear. For the 54 car. Also back in Tommy Milner. Remember, Tommy Milner lost position to the 66 Ford, and then at the uphill chicane, Ford defending. Tommy Milner tried to go up the right-hand side to the apex of the corner. Got the outside Michelins on the grass, locked it all up, and spun the car, rotating backwards into the Ford. Damage to both the 66 and the 4. Broken right rear toe link for the 4. It's already been behind the wall. It's come back out again, but now back in the pit lane. Dirk Muller, who was driving the 66 car, is circulating, and circulating quite quickly, thank you very much indeed. 52.205 last time around. Meantime, it's an engine issue on the 54 Core Autosport car. trying to get re-fired, but it's not having it. And John Bennett just moving across on Madison Snow, allowing on the run 2 down No Name Straight, on the run 2 the uphill, and that just delayed the Lamborghini. Madison did the right thing and backed out on the right-hander that leads on to No Name Straight, and that allowed Patrick Long to take his chance and take the lead in GT Daytona. So Allegra Porsche leads GT Daytona, and it's the Porsche GT team that leads overall.
Yeah, that's a great day, certainly for Weissach and Porsche Motorsport North America, based these days in Carson, California. But the second place car in GTD, Madison Snow, is still right there, and Jack Hawksworth is closing in as well in that number 15 Lexus. Both of the Lexuses have overtaken Patrick Lindsay, who slipped back just a little bit. Well, no, he's not. He's hanging with Sage Karam at the moment, and very close behind those two also, Andrew Davis and Christina Nielsen. Once again, is doing a fine job in number 63 Scuderia Corsa Ferrari. She loves this racetrack.
She's still just half a second away from a top 6, having dropped down to the bottom of the top 10 after starting 7th on the grid. 7th or 8th, I can't remember now. So it sounds to me as though the 54 has got some kind of ECU issue. 8th, okay, thank you, Jeremy. It's got some kind of ECU problem, because it'll fire up but then won't run cleanly. So what in the old days would have been called a ballast resistor problem, now that's all sorted by the ECU. Shea Adam is watching the IT department of Porsche going to work here.
They've got an actual computer plugged in directly to the car, and then they've got an additional cable that plugs into the side of the car, which then attaches to what the guys on the box can see. So they've got a Porsche engineer looking at one computer, they've got the core engineers looking at several other ones, but John Bennett's still sitting behind the wheel. They're still working on this, trying to figure it out. The engine cover has just come off again, though, and when they tried it a few seconds ago, it ticked. It was trying to turn over, it just wasn't catching.
Yeah, meantime, John Bennett's wondering why you can see Candy Crush on the digital dashboard of the 54 Core Autosport car. Very seriously, very frustrating for those guys at the moment. But Frank-Stefan Walliser, who was very happy about the 3rd major pole position in a row for the 912 RSR, or for the 911, Porsche 911 RSR. It was the 912 car here. It was the 911 number car at CTMP. It was their WEC team that got pole position and a win at the Nürburgring, and now Jimmy Bruni in just his 3rd outing yesterday for the team in the context of a qualifying session that was most of the team split by under 2/10. He had a 4/10 advantage, so he bossed qualifying yesterday. 3 in a row then for the new RSR, and the
Patrick Lindsay
has a suspension issue.
Yes.
Yeah, Frank-Stefan Walliser very, very happy, the man at the head of the GT programme. I think I'm their lucky charm, because I've commentated on all of that, which I think Frank-Stefan should get me to the top of the list for a GT3 RSR. Thanks very much.
Lovely logic.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
So there is another Porsche problem, though, with that 73 car. Patrick Lindsay, the team talking to him on the radio as the Corvettes are trying to fight their way through. Jan Magnussen coming through. Battles in the GT Daytona field that included Catherine Legg and Cooper McNeil, respectively, in 12th and 13th position. So Catherine Legg has got up, at the right rear of the 73, right front, excuse me, of the 73. He's rubbing, and that car will have to come into the pit lane. Now, that would seem to me to have been contact somewhere, and yeah, it was at West Bend. Patrick just clipping the left rear of the Sage Karam Lexus.
Yeah, got a bit too close, didn't he?
Well, do you know what? It's not a suspension issue. It's just a bodywork pushed onto a Continental tyre issue. What's the drive time for Patrick here?
45
45. he's up. Next time round, he's up. So he needs to do one more lap and then bring it in. If he can get that round, he will get his drive time. So one more lap and he will come in from a very respectable 5th position. Jörg Bergmeister on the wall and ready. And Shea Adam, bad news for Core Autosport.
Well, bad news in a sense. John Bennett has gotten out of his 54 Porsche, but the good news is that he is the owner of the Porsche GT America team, so he can go watch them lead the race, even though he's out of it.
Yeah, I'm sure he would rather it was still in the race, and I think he'd think that was bad news. Engine issues then taking the 54 car out, so problems already for Chevy Corvette number 4, which has not re-emerged from the pit lane after its contact with the 66 Ford. Did a couple of 3 laps, but as came back in last time, it's not come back out again. Jack Hawksworth into the pit lane. Now, this might be a more standard sort of time, Shea Adam, for the Lexus team.
It is, but they are not doing a driver change because their number 1 driver is Jack Hawksworth. They have Robert Lalonde to put in the car later on. So Jack is staying in right now, but they are pitted immediately behind the 73 Park Place Porsche, which has come in. Patrick Lindsay already out, Jörg Bergmeister being installed. There's a bit of bodywork that's actually pushed in on the right front of the car, so that's what was creating all the smoke as it was hitting the Continental. They need to get out that little mallet. They've actually got a miniature baseball bat that they're using to hit at just the right angle to get it pushed back out. That's Jack Hawksworth going back out, pushing hard all race long. He was up in 3rd earlier, and he now has 4 fresh Continentals and a lot of fuel, so he should be good for another stint. They're not yet ready to put Robert Lalonde behind the wheel of that one, and the baseball bat did its trick. They pushed the bodywork out quite a bit. I am moving out of the way because I don't want Jörg Bergmeister to take me out, as he's angled very much toward the wall, and he's now gone too, so not too much time lost for the 73.
Yes, they have dropped down. They'll be behind Jack Hawksworth, obviously, when they come around. 50 laps exactly for the number 14 Lexus from the start of the race. We did have 3 formation laps. Ford's battling through the field. The slightly less pre-loved 66 car in the hand of Dirk Muller is back up to 7th position, of course, in GTLM with the non-reappearance of the Corvette number 4. I'm afraid to say, if you're a Corvette fan, and there are many here at the circuit, Corvette Corral, one of the biggest of the car corrals here, I think we may have seen the last of the number 4 Chevy Corvette. At the front of the field, there's 3 seconds again between Jimmy Bruni and his teammate Dirk Vernon. Porsche's 912 and number 911 lead by now 14 seconds. They've pulled the pin on those RSRs, and all of a sudden that is more than a comfortable lead. Richard Westbrook doing a great job for Chip Ganassi Racing and the 67 GT. 4th position, and notwithstanding the fashion faux pas that is Richard wearing pink fluffy bunny-eared slippers to save fuel in that car, he is holding on to the back end of the BMW, just 2 seconds behind. Very, very impressive. In comes the 75 of Dion von Moltke in the AMG. Good first stint for him. Hadn't seen that car. He'd have been further up had he not been pitched off the track. Also Sage Karamin as well in the 15. Sorry, in the
3rd place, number 14 car. That's exactly right, John. Yeah. Yes. And the number 75 car, Dion Moltke, hats off to him, because after that spin, he rejoined just ahead of the leaders in GTD and stayed there all the way through that stint. A great effort by Dion von Moltke, having never even sat in the car prior to this morning.
Yeah, by taking it to the grid. Yes. He is a plug-and-play accessory. Silver driver, Dion von Moltke. Now, I'll just say that again for any team owners or manufacturers that might be listening. Silver driver, Dion von Moltke, never having sat in the car, took the car to the grid, and well, it should have been knocking on the door of the top 10, actually, if he hadn't been nerfed off the track. Scott Pruitt, by the way, has taken over the number 14 Lexus from Sage Karam. He's dropped down to 14th position. Tristan Vautier has gone out in the 75. They've turned that round well, but they have lost now the lead lap. But don't forget that we need to see all of the top 8 cars coming into the pit lane. And, oh, Scott Pruitt is back in, and the 912 of Jimmy Bruni has lost the lead. He's been off the track. The 912 of Jimmy Bruni has got a huge amount of garden refuse in there. It looks like a grass box at the front of an old rotary lawnmower. 57 Stevenson car in and spinning its wheels on the jack. That'll get them a penalty. As in comes Jimmy Bruni. Absolutely no airflow at the front of that car. He's been off the track, and Dirk Werner's gone through into the lead. Shea Adam.
The 14 Lexus, when it came in, was dragging along the right front, a tire failure, not working as it was supposed to be. And Jimmy Bruni coming in, they were not expecting him in anywhere near this time. Lawrence Vantor struggling to put his gloves on as he ran around the back of the car, having just hopped over the wall. They are doing fuel, and 4 new Michelin tires, as right well they should. The ones they took off are quite a bit dirty, have not yet cleaned out the radiator of that car. But interestingly, because the 911 was ready for their pit stop, they had Patrick Pile waiting up on the wall, and the crew, when the 912 came down the wall, the 911 crew reacted first. So now they've given it a cursory swipe of the 912, but there is damage to the nose of this car, as if Jimmy maybe gently tapped somebody as they get the air hose out. Now they've completed cleaning out that car. We also have a BMW on the pit lane. That is the number 25 coming down as Lawrence Vantor goes out. Very much unexpected to start his work this early. Alexander Sims getting in behind the wheel of the BMW as Bill Oberlin hops out. 4 Michelin tires going on that car. They are pretty clean, actually. Have to say, good stop for them. Corvette guys are also up on the wall for the number 3. Nobody yet for the 24, and nobody as far as the Ford camp is concerned. But Patrick Pile still waiting on the wall for his turn. In the number 28, the GTD leader is in. Patrick Long has gotten out, and Daniel Morad is behind the wheel of that one. Fuel and 4 Continental tires. So for them, they are almost done with their pit stop, just waiting on fuel. That's the last part of the Porsche stop. The 3 Corvette has entered the pit lane as well, with the large number 4 on the side of it. That's not at all confusing. And they do have Antonio Garcia up on the wall, so it's the Spaniard's turn to go out and do what he can around this circuit. 4 Michelin tires and a whole lot of fuel for them as well. And the number 911 has come in, so Patrick Pile taking over for Dirk Werner. Fuel and tires for that car as well.
Yeah, the big number 4 on the side of the number 3 Corvette, saying it came in from 4th position. Dirk Werner out of the lead, and that stop for Lawrence Vantor dropped him off the lead lap for the moment, for Jimmy Bruni, excuse me, before Lawrence Vantor took it over. It's BMW and John Edwards that leads the motor race, but he owes us a pit stop. He's got 9/10 of a second on Richard Westbrook in the Ford. Soft pedaling that Ford. They're looking for fuel mileage today, and that might stand them in good stead here, because he is still out there. But what happened to Jimmy Bruni? He's definitely had contact on the front of that car, the black area just above where the air intakes are. Certainly been off on the track, but he's also got a crack in the front of that bodywork. So after a really good start for Porsche, leading and second at the front of the field, leading GTD, engine issue has forced out the 54 car, and also a problem for the 73 with bodywork damage and a rubbing tyre. And now the leader of the race has had an issue out on the circuit. And Patrick Pile, then former champion in the series, has got 38.5 seconds gap between himself and John Edwards, who leads the motor race. So that means that's 38 seconds between him and Richard Westbrook. So he will get the lead back when he comes back around. The Vantor stop, or the Bruni stop in the 911, by the way, much, much longer than the 911 stop was. So 912 now 16.5 seconds behind its teammate. It was 4 when Jimmy came in.
Now, we've got an hour and 46 minutes remaining in this race, which means we've been going now for, what, 54 minutes. That means, what I'm going with this one, if the number 67 car and all the 24 come to that, because they're both still out there on the racetrack, can go another 4 or 5 minutes, or 5 or 6 minutes, I should say, then conceivably they can do this race on one pit stop. The other guys, no.
Yeah.
Unless there's a caution.
Very good point. Shea Adam, a penalty for the 57 Stevenson Audi.
You called it, John. Spinning the tires when it was up on the air jack. That is a no-no, and that is a drive-through.
And that drive-through has happened, and Lawson Aschenbach is already back out onto the circuit, but he's off the lead lap in GTD, where we're still waiting for Madison Snow to pit. He's back in the lead now with Christina Nielsen in second place. And just a slight mistake by Lawson, who was in the car. He was being belted in. I wonder if he just, by accident, either flicked the gear lever and selected first, or put his foot on the throttle rather than the brake. And that is the drive-through for the 57 car. It was the Lawson that was at the wheel. So Madison Snow back at the head of the field in the 48 Lamborghini, started on pole position. Christina Nielsen, 23 seconds behind in second. Neither of those cars have pitted in the GTD first and second positions. Bill Sweedler, 18 seconds further back,
also
has not pitted.
Correct.
Ben Keating
has not pitted.
In fourth place, another 2 seconds further back. And Jens Klingman then is the first of the cars that is stopped, by my reckoning. The 96 GT Daytona BMW. Catherine Legg has also, well, she's had a couple of drive-throughs, so she hasn't done a proper stop yet. So that's an unreal position for the 93 Acura. So still plenty of action to come, and we're still waiting for BMW number 24 and Ford number 67. Both cars have not yet made their stop, and Richard Westbrook's times have been spot on the early to mid 55s. As Alexander Sims in the other BMW, the 25 car, having taken over from Bill Oberlin, just does his personal best of 51.4. That's only a couple of tenths away from the best overall lap of the race, which is still held by Dirk Werner in the 911 Porsche. So the BMW number 25 is coming to life in 6th position. Another 15 minutes of racing already gone. It is IMSA Radio and TV together, live from trackside. Shea Adam, our Continental Tire pit lane reporter, John Hindhaugh and Jeremy Shaw in the broadcast booth. XM 201, Sirius 145, around the world on the app at imsa.com. If you haven't got the app, by the way, there's no excuse. If you've got a smart device, there's a version for all 3 of the major operating systems. We might ask you for a little bit of information, but we'll never ask you for any money. And you can keep up to date with live audio, a lot of streaming video as well for qualifying for this event. And if you're outside the States, you can also see streaming video of the whole race. But even if you're inside the States, it's worth having, because you can get the onboard cameras live during the race. No breaks for that. Keep up with the action with the IMSA app. Go to your app store and search IMSA, IMSA. Always keeping you just a couple of clicks away from all the information you need. Jeremy Shaw.
There's no doubt in my mind now that both John Edwards in the number 24 car and number 67, Richard Westbrook, are trying to stretch their fuel to make it on just one pit stop. They're gambling on there being no yellows during this 2 hours and 40-minute contest.
Mistake.
Well, 2 stops, I should say.
Sorry, Jeremy. Mistake at the uphill. The 93 Acura. Well, it's been an eventful day for Catherine Legg so far. And she's in 5th position, trying to turn in for the uphill, and the car wasn't having it. Got very sideways, and she took the shortcut and carried on. I think that car's still on the tyres that it started with, Jeremy, and that seems to be struggling just a little bit for Catherine. She's not done fuel or tyres in that car yet, and that's why she's back up in the 5th position in GT Daytona.
Lawrence Vantour has just unlapped himself, hasn't he, on the race leader? I'm mistaken. They can't do it on just one pit stop. I'm wrong there, but they are trying to stretch their fuel, so they put a lot less fuel in for their final stop.
Everybody's got to do two stops. They're just trying to make their second stop a lot shorter in terms of how much fuel goes into it.
So sorry about that. But number 912 car is now back on the lead lap at the very, very tail of it. No sign of Madison Snow peeling into the pit lane yet, although Shea Adam, there might be a clue down in the pit lane with his Continental Tire report.
I see a Brian Sellers getting ready to get into the 48, a Martin Tomczyk ready to get into the 24, and an Alessandro Balzon for the 63. So driver changes are imminent. No sign yet of Ryan Briscoe for the 67.
Right, okay. Just trying to work out, Jeremy, how far they can go into this race. They've done an hour. There's an hour and 40 to go. How much further can that Ford and BMW go? They're absolutely together in traffic at the moment, in behind Jack Hawksworth and Catherine Legg, who are battling for 5th and 6th in GTD as they head to the uphill chicane. It's going to be a very easy two-stopper, though, for those two cars because they've gone so far into it. The worry would be if you were another team. I mean, they were all stopping. Can they all do it? Can all the other cars do it on 2 stops? Maybe. I think they can. 24 peels off to the right-hand side, and the leader of the race, John Edwards, will come to service with Rahal Letterman Lanigan Racing. New car for next year for BMW, of course. It will be the new M8, but for now, the M6 Coupe is in, and Shea Adam can watch the stop.
Jonathan Edwards already out. John Edwards, excuse me, as Martin Tomczyk gets plugged in. They have already changed the left side Michelins. He kind of got a bit close to the wall, but no problem for the Team RLL crew. They managed to pull the rear and the front tires off, seemingly in a ballet sequence. Car comes off with its air jacks. John is walking over to the wall, and the fuel is still going on. 107 liters for this BMW. It's the biggest fuel tank in the class by far, so it takes a little bit longer to get it all in. And now, Martin Tomczyk stalls. There he goes. See, he was just getting us ready. Jeroen Bleekemolen's up on the wall as well for the number 33 as Ben Keating comes down the pit lane. He managed to stretch that stint quite a bit longer too as he comes in from the 4th position, having started very well near the back. The Mercedes getting a BOP change for this weekend, which they felt would slow them down significantly, an additional 20 kilos on top of everything else. Keating out, Bleekemolen in. This is actually one of the tracks that Jeroen has not won at before. He's got 2 second-place finishes here, and he would really like to set things right. They have done 4 Continental tire change on that. Fuel's still going on, and they are just waiting as the pit board starts to wave for the number 63 Scuderia Corse Ferrari. And we will be seeing Christina, as indeed she is coming down the pit lane now. So will she be able to get to her pit box from 2nd before Jeroen Bleekemolen pulls out? And Jeroen goes, oh, that's going to be close. Christina pulls into her box. That was very well coordinated, and Balzan is getting in at 4 tires. John?
Yeah, so that just leaves with that pit stop as described there for the BMW number 24, Martin Tomczyk back out on the track. That just leaves Richard Westbrook without the pit stop yet, and 70 laps completed as in from the lead of GTD, 67 laps completed is Madison Snow. And that means that, well, I think that Brian will probably take that car at the end of the race from here. Sure.
You are spot on. Sometimes they do.
Sorry, a spin at the uphill, and it's the 75 car, the Tristan Vautier, and there was contact there. At least another 1 car, possibly 2 involved. We'll go back to Shea in a moment. The question for me is the damage to that 75. That's twice that car's been used as a pinball. Now, who was the flipper this time around? Because I'm pretty sure the 75 was the flip E and not the flipper. Vautier, though, gets it pointing in the right direction. 50 WeatherTech car comes to the pit lane, and also in the 93, it wasn't, was it? Catherine Legg for her first scheduled trip down pit lane. Let's catch up with Shea Adam with the pit stops that we interrupted. Shea?
It was a perfectly clean stop for the 63 and the 48. So the Ferrari and the Lamborghini, fuel, tires, driver change for both of those. The 93 is in. Andy Lally was bouncing up and down on his balls of his heels, getting ready to get into the car. He is now installed behind the wheel of the 93, so he's going to try and gain back some positions. And we also have Gunnar Jeanette, who has now installed himself behind the wheel of the 50 Mercedes. So we'll have to see what Gunnar can do. He's won here twice, but that was back in 2001 and 2010. So it's about time for Gunnar to get another win around the short course that is Lime Rock. Fueling still going on for both of these cars. Should have taken longer for the Acura as they had a bigger fuel tank, and Andy Lally just now leaves. So Gunnar now leaves as well. They came in about the same distance as they left.
Shea Adam with that Continental Tire pit lane report. We're live from trackside with just under an hour and 40 minutes to go. So 96 minutes still on the countdown clock as the Ford of Richard Westbrook. This is an extraordinary run again. The first race victory for the new Ford GT was at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca, where Richard Westbrook did exactly this and confounded everybody. Now, why was Tristan Vautier facing the wrong direction? Answer, because he went round the outside of the 96 BMW which
Who then clipped him.
then turned left as if it was going to go straight on up the
And
hill.
the 96 car is the leader in GTD.
Yes. So was there damage? The 96 went into the back of the 33 AMG and then tried to turn left to avoid further contact without realising, I'm afraid, Jerome, that Jerome got the tap. The 96 on board that car was Jens Klingmann, and Jens, without any thought of who might be to his left, just turned left and took the 75 car out. That, I think, given what we've seen already, will probably mean that BMW, which was doing well on fuel, that will probably mean a trip down the pit lane for the young German.
Yeah, done a fantastic job. Of course, he's got Jack Hawkes was right with him there. That is the battle for the lead in the Lexus. Can they finally get the win that they've been knocking on the door of for the last 4 or 5 races?
Tristan Vautier has come into the 75 car, in with the 75 car to pit lane after that bump from Jens Klingmann.
Tell you what, the 28 car's joined in as well, hasn't he? Daniel Morad has closed right in on that battle. This is the battle we're watching coming through the S's now. Number 96 BMW ahead of the number 15 Lexus of Jack Hawksworth, and Daniel Morad is closing in as well in that Allegra Porsche car number 28.
Onto the no-name straight as the 2 Corvettes are running in tandem as well, with Tonio Garcia now behind the wheel of the number 3. Tommy Milner continues in the number 4, and Morad goes to the right, then to the left at West Bend as he tried to make a pass. And in there as well, about another 4 seconds further back, Jörg Bergmeister, watch out if you're around the circuit for the dark grey and red 73 Park Place car, as the BMW has made good its escape for the moment. Andy Lally trying to come back through these cars and get a lap back, and Daniel Morad not too keen on that, and the race second place GTLM car is in there as well as Lally goes off onto the grass for a moment. This is not the 93 car's day today, is it? Damage now to the right front of Andy Lally's Acura, sitting down in 13th position and off the lead lap. In fact, I think he's the first car off the lead lap, because Townsend Bell is just on the end of the lead lap. Shea Adam, the result of that Jens Klingmann shunt with the 75 of Tristan Vautier is?
Day done for the 75. That should be a penalty for the 96.
Well, it's not about the consequences, but I hear what you're saying there, Shea. It's whether the race director feels that that was avoidable contact. The contact was initiated to Jerome Bleekemolen by Jens Klingmann and missed his braking point and gave the 33 a bit of a bang up the diffuser. Now, he was battling for the lead at the time, and I understand his frustration, but you can't just use the car in front as a brake. And then he compounded the situation by just turning hard left and taking the shortcut up the hill. Unfortunately, there was a car there and just nerfing him completely out the way. 76 laps completed, plus the 3 warm-up laps for Richard Westbrook now.
Yeah, exactly.
He has got a 250-litre tank.
Well, he must have, because I mean, I thought I'd misspoken earlier when I said he was trying to make it on one pit stop. Well, if you can go another 10 minutes, yeah, it is getting closer, particularly if there is a full course caution. And we know how much these races come down to the nitty-gritty towards the end. We see a lot of excitement. I mean, he's regularly a couple of seconds away from the time that had been turned by the Porsche, particularly number 912 car, and the number 24 BMW. Martin Trondrick come to that. And number 3 Corvette, by the way, is trying to get back onto the lead lap as well.
Yes, and with the pace that Westy's doing, that is a possibility.
He's right with them, right.
Over an hour and 8 minutes of the 2 hours and 40 minutes. You don't have to be an applied mathematician. This is only arithmetic, not mathematics anyway. But obviously, an hour and 20 is half distance. So we are about 10 laps. Surely he can't do 90 laps, 80, 90 laps. But we said this at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca, Jeremy, and everybody on the pit lane, yeah, don't worry, the Ford will have to come in. The Ford's not coming in.
Look at your Bergmeister, still number 73. He's closing in on Daniel Morad, isn't he? Here's the battle now. This is it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, isn't it?
Yeah, and look a little bit further back, because Brian Sellers is not that far away in the 48 Lamborghini, which somehow has been shuffled down to 5th position. Yeah,
and Andy Lally in the middle of that battle in the number 93 Acura. He's trying to get back on the lead lap. So
yeah, he's getting frustrated.
Yes, he is. Giving Jack Hawksworth a bit of a nudge there, and he gets Humble elbowed out on the exit. And then
he's put more.
That's a bit naughty.
Sorry,
Andy.
Andy.
Naughty. He's a lap down.
What is with the 93 car
it's
today?
Bizarre. They are just absolutely on a mission.
Have they taped up their mirrors? What is going on? And that's the change of position as Hawksworth gets past Klingman, going downhill into the final corner, and that's the lead in GT Daytona. Hawksworth at the end of the 77th lap, check that, 76th lap, Hawksworth is now leading for Lexus. Lexus leads GT Daytona at Lime Rock Park.
Yeah. And I think Jack is going to pull away here now, because he's been super strong. He's got that pass made, and I think he's going to check out.
I'm surprised we haven't heard anything about action to be taken on Klingman. He's a very lucky lad. Not one car affected, but two there.
Okay, so the Corvette, excuse me, John, the Corvette is now back on the lead lap.
This is Antonio Garcia you're talking about, in the number 3 car, 5th position. And he is 53.0 seconds behind Richard Westbrook, whose last lap was a 53.9. That'll tell you how close he is to the falling off again. But Richard Westbrook isn't lapping at the same pace as the cars behind him. He's got 11.5 seconds now between himself and Patrick Pilet, who is coming down to what, over 2 seconds quicker a lap. But remember, he's halfway through his fuel stint, and Richard Westbrook hasn't finished his first fuel stint yet.
That's right, and 10 laps ago, the gap from first to second was 20 seconds. Now it's 11, so basically a second a lap. As you say, last lap it was 2 seconds, but Richard Westbrook,
traffic.
Yes, and Richard is doing a fabulous job, as he always does, of managing the traffic and keeping those lap time delta, doing the lap times he wants to be able to do while saving fuel.
Drama in GT Daytona. Jens Klingman gets the drive through. I have to say, I think that's perfectly consistent officiating, and I think there's another one coming for Andy Lally as well. Shea Adam, you mentioned the Turner car had tacos on the side this weekend instead of Turner. What's the story there?
Well, the team owner and the lead engineer, Jay Beyer and Will Turner, they're both big taco fans. Every city that they go to, they try and find the best taco stand that they possibly can. So they've just decided, Lime Rock's our home track. Why not have a little bit of fun with this? There's not only tacos written on the side of the car, but there are taco emojis on the front of it.
And that car has just rejoined ahead of this battle, so it's almost lost the lead lap in the class.
And it's a shame for Turner Motorsport. I mean, a team based not too far from here, and they've had a lot of success here in the past. They made an early strategic call to come onto pit lane, and Jens Klingman had done a fantastic job since they took over the wheel. Unfortunately, he's had that contact, however. And now Jack Hawksworth is indeed running off into the distance.
And all of a sudden, the gap between first and second in GT Daytona is 5.8 seconds. Can I just mention that we're an hour and 13 minutes into this race, and in 7 minutes' time, which is about 7 laps, Richard Westbrook will be at half distance without stopping for fuel.
Yeah. That's obviously the goal.
Yeah. Jack Hawksworth leads. Robert Alon still has to do his time.
He does.
And he won't be as quick as Jack Hawksworth.
Pressure's going to be on him.
But Jack might give him a decent lead here, Jeremy, if it stays green. Yes, a funky bit of aero on the back of the 16 car as Andy Lally continues to circulate with the right-hand front damage on his car. He may have a bit of someone else's on there as well. The 16 car left rear is sticking out a little bit and sort of looking like a movable aerodynamic device. That was from the earlier contact for the 16 Lamborghini. Currently 67, still has not pit. 83 laps. They are, well, they're 10 minutes away from making it to half distance. Shea Adam, anything happening at Chip Ganassi?
The mechanics are all up on the wall. I do not yet see Ryan Briscoe. He was sitting on top of the pit stand. The pit board is being readied as well now, though. this is imminent. It's just a matter of how long they think they can push it. Briscoe's still up top with the engineers, though. He is looking very cool like a cucumber.
Yeah.
So what, the other guy to watch here from my perspective is 007 Aston Martin. James Davison has taken over from Brandon Davis, and the Aussie is flying. He's up into 5th place, and he's not too far behind Brian Sellers, who lost a little bit of ground on the last lap or two, but he will be closing that in again.
Yeah, well, his last lap, Brian's was a 54.2, but now a 54 flat. Smashing job that he's doing. I think he'll take the car to the end from here.
And now just less than 6 seconds between the first two on the road. Richard Westbrook's lead is dwindling, of course. He won't be too worried about that if he can make it to the end on one less pit stop. It's going to be really, really interesting, this race.
He's in the traffic of the GT Daytona battle low, Jeremy, and that will cause him some issues.
And you know, we've got, what, an hour and 24 to go. He's done an hour and 16 so far, therefore. He needs to do another 4 minutes to get to halfway. But by then, Pilet is going to have caught up with him.
Yeah.
They're both going to have to make one more stop then.
Yeah.
But, and this is a big but, the number 67 car is still going to have to soft pedal it to get to the end.
Yeah.
It's going to be fascinating. This is brilliant.
Yeah, it's great strategy.
And what is interesting also, the gap between the two Porsches has remained about the same. So although the 911 has closed on the 67, the 912 hasn't.
Has not, correct. And Alexander Sims is about to get his lap back on Richard Westbrook, going down into Big Bend this time. And Sims is going through now and gets back on the lead lap, and Westy doesn't fight him. So he'll sit in behind the 27 BMW. Behind them is, well, that must be
about that, I must admit.
Antonio Garcia. Oh no, Tommy Milner's back out. Milner's back out again, of course he is, yeah. We hadn't seen him for a while, so that is Tommy Milner back out in the 4 car. He's lost some 30 laps, but he's just got one of them back there, almost. And Richard Westbrook is being very careful to stay out of trouble as he continues to lead the race, but only just. The 67 GT has battles going on all around him. He stays to the right-hand side, and Shea Adam, for the first time, you're going to see the 67 car come to a halt for service in this race with an hour and 22, they call it an hour and 23 remaining.
Well, it's about time as well. Beginning to think that Richard Westbrook didn't like me, that he didn't want to come visit the pit lane. The crew immediately goes over to change the left-hand tires. They are having a little bit of trouble with the air gun, though, John. On the front left, it's not giving enough pressure to actually pull the wheel nut off. Now they got it to go. As soon as they got the other one over the wall, of course, never fails. No problem securing it. So a very slow front tire change, but so far they have not lost anything because the fueling is still going on. The door goes down. Ryan Briscoe has been completely installed securely behind the wheel. Car comes off the air jack with a very heavy thunk. It is the heaviest car in GTLM. A number 5 on the side of the door. Fuel all the way in. And Ryan is back out, and I don't know that I'm actually going to see him again, John. They're saying that this might be it.
I think that is it, because don't forget there's 3. There's the drive to the grid, there's 3 warm-up laps.
Absolutely.
I think they're fueled till the end, that Ryan Briscoe will go to the end unless there's some kind of strategic. There was a tiny little bit of damage to the right rear portion of the car, right on the edge of the diffuser, but it was so insignificant that the crew member just basically gave it a wiggle, put it straight again, and then said it's okay, send him. So now, can Ryan Briscoe do the same job on fuel mileage as Richard Westbrook? 87 laps. I said they need to do somewhere near 90, 87 laps, and any yellow flags plays right into their hands. They've made their last pit stop, so they now will get track position as everyone else makes their pit stops. And, well, this is all to play for now. 2 hours and 40 minutes, but a proper old-fashioned endurance race here. Jeremy Shaw and John Hindhaugh in the broadcast booth. I am loving this. They coasted to the pre-grid to save a bit of fuel. This was a deliberate tactic. No point in trying to do it with 15 minutes to go. We've said this before. Dario Franchitti always used to say to me, if you're going to save fuel, you've got to save fuel from the start of the race. You can't do it, you know, on a whim with 20 minutes to go.
No. You've got to make your bed. If you make your bed, you've got to lie in it.
Yeah.
That's really what it boils down to here.
You take the pain. Mike, Richard was very good early on. He held on to the top three. I thought that was pretty good. Very good indeed. So Patrick Pilet for Porsche is back at the head of the field, with Laurens Vanthoor now 13 seconds behind his teammate. So that's been cut down a little bit. It was 20 seconds not so long ago. 51.5 last time around for Vanthoor. He's got the hurry up. He's got 15.5 seconds on Martin Tomczyk. I think that the guys at Porsche have realised they've got a battle on their hands with that Ford, and they now realise they need to get some real estate between themselves and the 67 GT.
Indeed, and Vanthoor in particular has upped the gap. I remember I said a little while ago the gap between the two Porsches had been pretty static, about 20 seconds. What is it now, John?
13.
Yeah, exactly.
13. 51.5 and another 51.5 for Vanthoor. That car's best lap is a 51.0, which is the fastest lap of the race. In fact, just been put in 20 laps ago since Laurens Vanthoor got in the car. So that is now a new race lap record for GTLM at a 51.025. And it goes to Laurens Vanthoor, the Belgian driver. Meantime, the Lexus of Jax Hawksworth continues to lead Daniel Morad by 4.9 seconds. Still waiting to see if Andy Lally is going to get pinged for his driving. He's dropped down to 15th position and has not managed to get back onto the lead lap yet. So Jörg Bergmeister is in 3rd position, just 1.1 seconds behind second in GTD. Now, I detect a slight change in air pressure, and I've got a... Yeah, the air pressure has changed markedly recently. Just felt my ears pop there, and sometimes that gives you a little bit of a hint. And oh yeah, we've got showers on the way. We've got showers on the way according to the weather radar. I have got no idea who that helps or hinders, Jeremy.
Klingman lost some pace on that last lap for some reason. Number 96 BMW was running so strongly before that drama a little while ago.
It's not bad. It's a splash of rain, and I would say it's probably 20 minutes away as it stands. Now Ford don't want to have to make another pit stop, so they want to be out there and stay out there. The question for everyone else is how far can they go into the race before any splash of rain, if it was to arrive, comes? Would it be around about their last pit stop time? That would be the look of the draw. Man, these races, I know they're only 2 hours and 40 minutes, and a lot of people don't think that's proper endurance racing. But endurance racing now is about driving flat out normally. From the moment your thumb comes off the pit lane speed limit until the moment you come back in. Well, Richard Westbrook has done a proper old-fashioned endurance racing stint there for 87 laps in that 67 car. Ryan Briscoe is just off the lead lap, of course, now. He's the first car off the lead lap in GTLM and at the head of the field.
All right.
So, but he will get that back when the cars around him pit, particularly if they pit on a green flag. But even if they get a bit of a yellow, he'll stay out, of course. He's only a minute behind. A minute and 5 seconds behind the leader at the moment. Into the pit lane for the number 33, Jerome Blakemole, and championship leader in GTD. Shea Adam with this Continental Tire pit lane report.
Well, they were earlier in the year. They came into this race in second, and they were really hoping to get back that championship defense. Jerome Blake-Mullen blew the chicane earlier on the lap, and there was a lot of smoking from the car as he pulled to a stop. They have changed 3 of the 4 Continentals. There, the 4th one goes on. That is the right front, the final one to go. They are refueling him as well, and he is shaking his head inside the cockpit of the car. The mechanics are looking around the rear of the car, around where the diffuser is, and the Continental that came off the left front is filthy. There's no other way to describe it, and a big flat spot on that one as well. So clearly that off-course excursion not going the way that they hoped it. They just shut the engine off. This is going to be a lengthier stop for the 33. They're looking at the left side rear tire area of the car and pushing on it, so not good.
And that team started the season so wonderfully well. They had 2 wins in the first 4 races. They had a 2nd and a 3rd. They had a commanding championship lead. And since then, all sorts of dramas have knocked them back in the championships.
Yeah, 2nd in the championship. Championship contender is what I wanted to say. Shea was absolutely right. 2nd in the championship. Alessandro Balzan currently in 6th as the championship leader. 6th in this race. And you're right about James Davison, by the way. That Aston Martin now only a 2.5 seconds away from Brian Sellers, who's 5 seconds away from Jörg Bergmeister in 3rd in GTD in the 73 Porsche. And the 33 has gone behind the wall. The 2nd place car in GTD. Jerome Blake-Mullen brought that car in, all was not well. The AMG Mercedes-Benz engine shut off, and now that car's behind the wall. And Klingman into the pit lane. Klingman into the pit lane in the 96 car. Now, they have not had their 2nd driver in yet. Shea Adam.
It's broken left rear suspension for the 33. When they put it up on the air jack behind the wall, the wheel just sort of dangled there. So that's what's going on for that car.
Ah, well, that might be able to be fixed and get that car back out again. What about the 96 BMW? It's been in the wars, had a drive-through. Jens Klingman has got damage on the right front of that car. And the mechanics are going to work from Turner BMW, Taco BMW this weekend. That, I would think, was... Well, there's the 2 cars involved in that incident that cost Jens Klingman the drive-through, because the 33 was the car he ran into the back of, and then he turned into the 75. So he's put 2 Mercedes-Benz out, 2 for the price of 1 there. And Jens Klingman now into the pit lane with damage on the front. And he is being sent out again. And he stopped. As Jerome Blake-Mullen was showing his frustration earlier on. So it was problems on the suspension for the 33. That may well have been as a result of the contact from the 96, for which he's already served his penalty, by the way. It was a drive-through. The 96 now is going again. Is he swinging left onto the track or right to go behind the wall? He's gone behind the wall. The 96 car goes behind the wall. 4th place in the Drivers' Championship on his own. Jens Klingman, after being pinged for over-aggressive driving and avoidable contact, 2nd, 3rd and 4th in the championship are having bad days. 75 Mercedes-Benz out after that contact. 33 with damage after that contact. It's a toe link on the 33 car, the back of their awning. And now the 96 BMW also behind the wall. Unbelievable. And let's not forget that Andy Lally and Catherine Legg, 2nd in the championship, are having an awful day at the moment. And that car is sitting down in, well, 11th position now, Andy Lally, but they need to keep their nose clean. And Andy has just unlapped himself from Jack Hawksworth.
Yeah.
He's literally taken that amount of time to do it.
I think he did it without hitting him, actually, this time.
Yes.
At least we didn't see anything, weren't
Well, I think he's got one of his laps back, Jeremy. He's still a lap off the lead.
Correct.
So he's got one of his laps back.
Yeah. And
it's clearly pacing that Acura, by the way.
What's interesting to me, we saw that battle, the gap between the 2 leading Porsches was 20 seconds for a long time. It came down to 12. It's now, interestingly, almost back out to 20. And the Martin Tomczyk car in 3rd place is about 13 seconds behind, which is about the same sort of gap that has been for a long, long time. It's very interesting how it sort of ebbed and flowed between those various cars. Behind the BMW, There's a gap of about 7 seconds back to Antonio Garcia, who's turning a very, very good pace as well. And a similar gap back to the number 25 BMW. So it's all sort of, there's a lot of strategy playing out, and we've still got an hour and 10 minutes to go in this race. And I wouldn't. When are we going to see the leaders in again for the next pit stops? Well, that could be any time.
Now,
what we've seen so far in this
50
race.
laps. It was 50 laps, so Pile's due any time now.
I would think so.
I don't think the Porsches can go to the end with one more stop, Jeremy, if it stays green. I think they'll need a little splash at the end. So
yeah, but I'm sure they would have made their first pit stop no sooner than they, presuming there's nothing else wrong with it, that they could make to the end from there with one more stop. So I think they can go longer than 50.
All right, you think that they
that.
just did that for track position? Okay,
Yes.
right.
They
Okay.
kind of split the strategies a little bit between those two cars.
So we might see a slightly longer stint here from Patrick Pile, who, by the way, is eased out to 17.5 seconds again now.
Well, that's what I was saying.
Yeah.
It's interesting, wasn't it? Because the gap was 20 seconds for a long, long time, came down to 12,
Yeah.
now out to 20, and now down to 16 again. A bit of traffic on that last lap for number 912 car.
Tomczyk in third. Tomczyk in the BMW, the 24 car. He's another 15 seconds further back. But let's not, I mean, we're talking about these gaps here. They sound big, but the top 5 now all back on the lead lap and within 48 seconds. Ryan Briscoe in 6th position is some 62 seconds behind, 1 minute and 2 seconds behind, and he's fueled till the end of the race. That's 67. Chip Ganassi racing car with the IHG Rewards Club sponsorship on the side is good to the end of the race.
He is, but the number 911 car can make another pit stop. It has a whole lap in hand, and that's about what it will lose when it comes into
Correct.
the pits.
62 seconds is the gap between the leader and that Ryan Briscoe 67 car. The 66, if you're wondering where that car is, that had contact earlier on and has dropped 3 laps. Really unlucky. Got hit by a Corvette which was going backwards into the uphill chicane. Tommy Milner with an uncharacteristic misjudgment, got on the grass, spun the car, broke a rear toe link on that car, and is still in it, and has dropped 30 laps and sits down in 23rd but still 8th in GT Le Mans. We've still got major contenders in GT Daytona in the pit lane. The 96 of Jens Klingmann in the BMW, the Turner car, in 4th position in the championship points, and Sharon Blekemolen in 2nd. Check that, 2nd place in the championship in the 33 AMG Mercedes, also in the pit lane after a coming together between those cars earlier on, which also took out the 75 of Dion von Moltke and Tristan Vautier. That car has now been retired. Shea Adam with a, I'm sure, very happy Madison Snow. Started from pole, dropped down the field, but brought the car in right at the sharp end of the GT Daytona field.
Did everything that was asked of him, did Madison Snow in that first stint out there. Currently, Brian's in the 4th position. There looks like there might be rain moving into the area. Would that help you guys in the Lamborghini?
I don't know if that would help us here or not. It depends on the track. Right now, we're just stuck behind some traffic like everybody else is out there, so we just have to see where it is at the end. But for sure, the rain would throw a curveball and everything, but so would a yellow, or I mean, so would anything else out there. So it would change up strategy for everybody. It could help us, but it could also hurt us.
Is that what you guys need to get back into it?
We just need to get past some lap traffic or some, so maybe that helps us, maybe that hurts us. I can't really say, but that's what we need right now, is to get ahead of the lap traffic and then catch back up with the leaders. We have the pace in the car. It's just super difficult to pass here with everybody being so competitive.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Well, strategy being played at the front of the field. Remember our keys to the race: be bold. I think this is what the 73 Park Place Porsche team are doing. Jörg Bergmeister is being filled to the end of the race and getting Continental tyres. I didn't see a full set go on. Adam, you might have had a better view.
I have seen the left-hand side, and I heard the air gun going on the right. Yep, they did a full set, but the fueler was so excited when he jumped on the hood of the car to give Jörg as much fuel as he could that he started bouncing up and down with the fuel hose just to make sure that the last drops actually managed to get in. Very good stop from the 73.
And that is that car's last pit stop. That will be the last time that car comes to pit lane.
Presume
And,
so.
yeah, well, you'd hope so. They're rolling the dice there. James Davidson for Aston Martin, the 007, is 4th position now. Also a stop a moment or two ago for the 66, Joey Hand, Chip Ganassi Racing GT. That 66 car, I felt it rather than saw it, because it just rumbles by and shakes the whole of our broadcast booth here.
The race leader, number 911 car, has been slow the last couple.
Yes.
That's it. All of a sudden been doing 53s. He had been doing low 52s or even 51s. And that gap that we talked about so often is now down below 10 seconds for the first time in an awful long time between the 911 and the 912 car.
Amazing stuff. I think it's all traffic related, Jeremy, because there's this clumping that's going on with the GTD
but 10
cars.
seconds is a lot of time to lose in traffic.
Yeah, but he's straight down to a 52 when he's in clear air.
True.
52.4 last time around. We get these little gaggles of cars clumping, as we call it at Le Mans. You got 8.5 miles there, and you still get groups of cars together at the 1.5 mile circuit that we have here. It just happens more often, and you tend to lose more time from it. And that lead now 9.6 seconds. Some movement down to my left. Shea Adam, GT Daytona leader.
15 crew mechanics are up on the wall, and the pit board is out, although it's not fully extended yet. When the car comes in, they do move it to the middle of the box where they want Jack to stop on his marks. I can't see Robert Alon from my current positioning, but I would be shocked if he is not also up on the wall ready to go. The fueler is just readjusting the hose to get a better grip on it, as we have a GTLM Porsche in the lane, and that is the number 911. That is the leader in the pit lane. Patrick Pile comes in and hits his marks just down to my right. The fuel is going in. He is doing at a minimum 2 Michelin tires, but they are doing the left side first. The 912 is also in. Don't know if they can make it from here, but they are doing the right side tires on the 911 now as well. Doing a... Or did they? Yes, they did. They do the tire changes so fast on those GTLM Porsches. They are changing the right side tires on the 912 as well. That's the sound of Pile going back out. Lawrence Vantor sitting very patiently as the fueling continues, and the right front tire is changed. That's a 96 coming back out from behind the pit wall, the Taco Turner car. 912 with a little bit of a stall trying to get the fuel hose removed. There was a bit of a fumble there, but they managed to recover it. And yes, we are waiting for the 15, John, any moment now.
Thank you, Shea Adam, with that Continental Tire pit lane report. Just about an hour and 4 minutes when those two Porsches came out onto the pit lane, and I think they can just about make it from here as the leader in GTD comes in. Jack Hawksworth will give the car over to Robert Alon. The lead has passed to Allegra Porsche and Daniel Morad. Shea?
Robert Alon looked like a kid on Christmas. He ran around that car so tightly hugging the left rear of the Lexus that I thought he was going to clip himself on the wing. He has already been installed. They are doing the right front tire and the left rear right now. Still have to do the alternate sides. As they now have finished that, the car comes off of the air jacks. Fuel is still going on, and slow driver change for the 15, but they get it done before the fueling hose comes out. So that will be completed as the 86 Acura comes in for their stop as well. Fuel done, but Robert stalls the car, having some trouble getting it refired. There we go. That was probably 2 seconds lost on that stalled pit lane exit attempt.
Every time the Lexus seems to shoot themselves in the foot. You can't afford to give away even 2 seconds as close as this battle is. That was an unforced error again by this time one of the drivers. So he's got to put his foot down now, and he's still on probation, I believe, from that incident at Long Beach. So he can't afford to be too aggressive here, but he's got to be fast.
Yeah, our keys to the race: execute your pit stop, stay on the lead lap, manage the traffic, watch your track position, but be bold. There's a fine line, isn't there? And the 93 car has been across it a few times. More car-to-car action from Andy Lally a moment or two ago with another bump and run.
Number 9, 12 and 67 cars, John, are together on the road now.
Yeah.
But the 912 car has a lot more fuel at its disposal.
Daniel Morad comes in with the black, yellow and, well, black, gold and white 28 Allegra Motorsports, leading the GTD when they came in. He has got out of the car, and that will be Pat Long, the, I think, quite brilliant road racer from California. 4 Continental tyres going onto that and a full tank of fuel to get that car at the end. Meantime, second
Corvette
place
leads the race.
Yeah, Martin Tomczyk comes into the pit lane. We'll go down to Shea for that one at the moment, in a moment. And Corvette and Anthony Garcia goes into the lead as we have just on an hour to go. BMW pit stop for the 24 and Tomczyk, Shea.
Fuel and tires only for that one, John, as fuel and tires going on for the 63 Scuderia Corse Ferrari as well. And the 48, the Paul Miller Racing Lamborghini, comes in from a number 1 on the side of its door. They are doing 4 tires and fuel for Brian Sellers. They are not doing a driver change, but now we have the old married couple, as he referred to them earlier, as Patrick Long and Jörg Bergmeister out on track in Porsches, driving against each other. This is just wrong.
No, this is brilliant. And they are actually line astern on the racetrack. Well, 9 seconds between them at the moment, 5 seconds between them at the moment. 73 in 5th position. Pat Long's just come out in 6th place as Brian Sellers is down and away with a full tank of fuel that will take the 48 Lamborghini, the red and black car, which is exiting the pit lane now all the way to the end of the race. And this round of the IMSA WeatherTech SportsCar Championship, the Northeast Grand Prix, has 59 minutes and 40 seconds to run. In comes the 4 Corvette.
Yeah, it looked like a pretty good stop, which is many laps down. It looked like a good stop for number 48 car. That puts the Aston Martin in the lead, although that is into the pits on this lap, which puts the Stevenson Motorsports Audi into the lead of GTD as these pit stops cycle through. Townsend Bell, by the way, in the number 23 Alex Job Audi, also up to 2nd place in the class now. He still needs to make his final stop.
Yeah, and they went very long in the first pit stop cycle. The 007 Aston Martin is in the pit lane.
Tell you what.
The 57 car is in the pit lane, and Townsend Bell has gone through and leads the race.
Indeed, correct. What's interesting now to me is the number 73 Jörg Bergmeister Porsche, having stopped before everybody else. Hopefully he's got enough fuel to get to the end, because he's been able to turn some really quick laps on fresh tyres, presumably with a bit of clear track as well. And he is out ahead of the number 48 car. And the 28 and the 15, which has dropped several places farther back now.
So when
Lexus.
Townsend Bell pits, as he will, it will be Jörg Bergmeister leading, and he's fuel till the end of the race. What happened in the other pit stops? This Continental Tire pit lane report comes from Shea Adam.
Well, for the number 57, the Stevenson crew, they've got a little bit of extra pressure on them because the car won GS earlier in the day. The last time that happened, their GTD car also won. So the crew feeling a little bit of extra pressure, but they have their drivers in from the earlier race sitting on the pit box cheering them on. Townsend Bell pits from the lead of the race in the Audi. They have the door open, but they are not doing a driver change. They were giving him an additional water bottle. Scrub Continental tires going on the left. This is an interesting strategy ploy from the Alex Job Racing crew. They were only allowed 7 sets of tires for this weekend. They are doing scrub sets on the right side as well. So Townsend's got not that sheen on the tires to sort of rub off, as now he exits the pit lane. That was a very quick stop, and that was about the same time elapsed as took for the 57 Stevenson car as well.
So Jörg Bergmeister has cycled through in the lead in the 73 Park Place Porsche. So Patrick Lindsay's sterling work at the beginning of the race, Jeremy, has paid off. He's got a 1.5 seconds over Brian Sellers in 2nd. Patrick Long in 3rd is just another 3.6 seconds back, and just put his that car's fastest lap of the race in a 53.0. Scrub tyres is not a silly thing to do here. This is a track that, as it evolves over the weekend, sometimes you're better off putting a set of scrub tyres on and setting the cars up to run on a set of scrub tyres. Because if you set up on brand new tyres, talking to Owen Trinkler earlier on, sometimes as the tyres wear, you really lose the balance of the car. So just scrubbing them off gently earlier in the weekend and then getting them on, putting a heat cycle through them, gives you a better run towards the end of the race. And these guys will be flat out now to the end of the race with just 56.5 minutes to go. And it's Bergmeister, Sellers and Long battling for the podium positions in GTD, with James Davidson still behind the wheel of the 007 Aston Martin. He's a further 16 seconds back. Antonio Garcia doing a great job. 8.5 seconds is his lead at the moment, but surely that car can't go to the end as well. I'm sure that does us a stop. He last pitted on lap number 59, so he's got to stop.
And Brian Sellers now is closed in on the tail of number 73 Porsche. So that is for 8th position overall, the lead in GTD.
It's got to Shea Adam down in the pit lane. The question at the front of the field for me, 9:11 and 9:12, can they go to the end of the race?
They're going to try. They said we think we can, so good on them.
Well, we'll give it a go. We said be bold as our keys to the race. So Porsche then are rolling the dice. Yet to have a win with the 911 RSR here in the US. They've got one to their name back in the FIA World Endurance Championship. It came just a week ago at the Nürburgring. 93 is looking very battle weary. The Andy Lally and Catherine Legg machine. He's back up to 7th place. The grill's hanging off it. Well, that will catch the attention of the race officials. He might have to come in and have that taken off. See, that falls off, that will cause a full course yellow, or worse still, perhaps a puncture. And it is hanging on by its fingernails at the moment as the leader comes through to Alessandro Balzan. Balzan in 6th position in the Ferrari, number 63, championship leader in GT Daytona, heading through turn 3, the left-hander, into turn 4, the right-hander, part of the S's, then on the no-name straight. Good crowd of people sitting on the bankside. Now, earlier on, a quite extraordinary run of 87 laps, 88 laps make that, for Richard Westbrook. Is he wearing the pink fluffy slippers with the bunny ears on? Shea Adam has this.
He's not wearing the bunny-eared slippers, but he did drive exactly as the engineers asked him to. Richard, that was one heck of a first stint out there. We'll see if it was enough, but that green blob on the radar that your crew is watching, would that help you guys if it rains?
I doubt it. It's close right now for us to do it on one stop. It's really touch and go. So we'll have to see. Yeah, I mean, it was a gamble doing it, but we had to do something. I mean, the Porsche is way too strong for us. We had a really good qualifying. It was a bit of a surprise, to be honest, but we knew race pace-wise, we haven't got enough for everyone else, so we had to throw the dice. We definitely did that. We'll see whether it's enough to get on that podium.
How frustrating is it as a driver, knowing that your engineer has a plan, knowing that Brad has your best intentions at heart, to let cars pass on track?
To be honest, I really enjoyed it. You know, you're given a fuel number and, you know, a pace to stick to and try and make the fuel. It's a real challenge, and especially in traffic, you know, you can get a bit greedy with the fuel in traffic, and, you know, it's a test of yourself, and, you know, it's something that I really enjoy.
You really held your own in the top 3 for the first bit of that. When you started to fall back, was that just because the tires were starting to give, or was it because you were hitting your numbers more?
Yeah, it was the tires, to be honest with you, but it was difficult in the traffic, the sort of last 15 laps of the stint, because the GTDs came out on fresh rubber, so it was really difficult to overtake them, and I lost a lot of time, but you know, that's racing at Lime Rock.
Well, fingers crossed it pays off.
Thank you, cheers.
Shea Adam asking the questions there of Richard Westbrook.
Yeah, and bottom line is they're going to need help, because they don't have the pace right now, they don't have the fuel to push as hard as they like.
And a change for 3rd position as Lawrence Vanteur, who had lost 3rd position a moment or 2 ago, is back up ahead of Alexander Sims. So after the pit stops,
he's whittled down that gap. After the pit stops, 8 laps ago, the gap between number 25 BMW and the number 912 Porsche was 8 seconds, and that gap has been not only reduced, but now 912 is through. That's
but
right.
the BMW's only done 1 pit stop to now. It was back on lap 58, so they are due another pit stop to take them to the end of the race.
Yeah, so this is, I mean,
so
as is number 3 Corvette, of course.
Who pitted on lap 59.
Yeah.
So the Porsche is effectively a 1 and 2 right now, with 6 seconds between them again. 9:11 from 9:12, but only when Antonio Garcia, who is actually scored as the leader, makes his final pit stop, which should be any time soon. By the way, update on the weather coming in. There is a weather front coming in from the north and west, well, from all sides on the west. It's the part of it that I thought might have hit us has gone to the north of us, and there's a little break in the rain radar that I'm looking at, which means we might get a splash for 5 or 10 minutes, and then there's a bit of clearness behind it. It just depends how it sweeps over the circuit here at Lime Rock Park, which is in a little bit of a bowl with the area around it being forested on the hillsides. So it often affects the weather around here, and it either repels the rain or it pulls it in and holds it, depending on where it's coming from.
And that GTD battle, by the way, just headed around Big Bend now, 118 laps completed.
The 86 Acura has gone around. That was Jeff Siegel, and that is at turn 3.
Yeah, he was at the bottom end of the top 10.
And he's dropping down. And that car is now spreading dirt all over the track, and there's damage to the left-hand side of that car. It might be grazing the ground as well. Left-hand side front is slightly deranged. And that, in fact, has that got its grille missing as well, or part of, it's part of the intake at the front, in front of the brake duct intakes. Now, right in there was the 23 of, oh, the 23's just nailed up. Townsend Bell just pushed him off the track there. Well, unless Jeff Siegel lifted off for some reason, and I don't think he did, he was driving along and goes to the apex, comes out of the Big Bend complex as he turns left, just drifts, and just gets pushed off. So that's unusual for T-Bell. Leader in the GTD category by just 0.2 of a second is York Bergmeister, with Brian Sellers now right on his tail. Brian Sellers has pulled the Lamborghini back into contention here.
They've been battling nose to tail now for the last 7 or 8 laps. Nothing to choose between those two. Gap of about, it was 4 seconds, it's now less than 3, back to the 3rd place car. They're coming across, the leaders are going into Big Bend now. The Porsche, the 3rd place Porsche, now about 3 seconds, the gap between 1st and 2nd and 3rd place.
Some championship news in GT Daytona. The 2nd place car in the team in the Drivers' Championship, that is the 33, is on the pit lane and is about to go back out, has just gone back out. In fact, has just rumbled past us. Jerome Blake-Mullen goes back into the race, and that is to pick up championship points. There are some 20, 30 laps down on their class leader, but this is all about championship points.
And the number 67 car now with Ryan Briscoe has moved past Alexander Sims in the BMW, so the number 67 car back up into 4th place. Now, whether this means that the plan ain't going to work and he's got to now put the hammer down and make another splash and go pit stop, or whether he's hoping for a yellow, who knows? But he has made that pass for position for 4th place. Drive
through for Townsend Bell for that incident with the 86, and I apologise, Ferrari run GTE Pro, not Porsche, at the 6 hours of the Nürburgring. So my apologies. I don't know where I got that in my head from.
And I was going to say, Antonio Garcia but still leads this motor race in car number 3 in the Corvette, but he's now got Patrick Pilet closing him down, and the number 3 car will have to make one more pit stop. Right behind him, actually.
Antonio Garcia then has done 70 laps, near enough. And yeah, in fact, he's done 70 laps in 3 laps' time. So that's a pretty good run for them. But he's got, in fact, he's just lost the lead. He's just lost the lead. Is he in the pits now? He must have turned into the pits.
The Porsche will be closing in quite rapidly.
No, he's gone through,
yeah.
No, he is in the pits. He is in the pits. Shea Adam.
Yep, as he rumbles down beyond me, the number 2 is illuminated on the side of the car this time. So now we've had 4 and 2 every time they've come in the pits. Not at all confusing for the number 3 car. They are doing 4 new Michelin tires. This is not scrubbed rubber, but also the 25 BMWs coming in to match them. No driver change for the 3 fuel and tires only. As for the 25, I do not see Bill Oberlin up on the wall, so they would be matching Corvette exactly, but the BMW comes in from the 6th place as Ben Keating is ready to get back into the 33. Interesting, they're going to give him a bit more drive time as Corvette stop is done. And Antonio is gone. The BMW stop still goes on, but they are just changing the right-hand side tires now, having already completed the left and finishing off the 107 liters of fuel.
I think you share Adam down in the pit lane, 46 minutes to go. And battles throughout both of the top positions, Jeremy, in both classes.
Yeah, you're absolutely right there. Number 15, Lexus, by the way, was having such a fantastic run earlier on, is now slipping back. That last lap, Robert Alon either made a mistake or got punted off or whatever, but he's lost 3 position all of a sudden. He's gone behind the number 63, Alexandre Balzan Ferrari. Oh boy, when did we talk about that car coming into the picture in the late stages before? Number 63 car, also 93, Andy Lally is right back in there as well. They're all part of that same battle, along with Lost Nationback. They've all gone past Robert Alon last time around, and Robert Alon just isn't able to keep the pace of the leaders in GTD, apparently.
Yeah, dropped back to 8th, having made that little mistake, and went wide at the final corner, and dropped more positions. So Robert's still just playing. He does not have a huge amount of experience, of course, and when he's been in pressured situations, sometimes he's made bad decisions.
25 cars been on pit lane.
Yes, it has. Alexander Sims was a month or 2 ago. Was lap number 120, end of lap 128, as was the Corvette. So they're fueled to the end. Ryan Briscoe stopped, or at least got in the car at lap 88. So that is the car that we are watching to see. It's in 3rd and has a 6-second gap back to Martin Tomczyk. The 2 Porsches are now 15 seconds apart again, Jeremy.
And all of a sudden, there's an appreciable gap between Jörg Bergmeister and Brian Sellers. I guess a couple of laps ago, Brian lost a little bit of ground.
Yeah.
Still only a couple of seconds back, so certainly isn't the end of the world. But Jörg Bergmeister, after that brilliant first stint by Patrick Lindsay, has made that was the first car in GTD to make its final pit stop on lap 101 with 1 hour and 6 minutes to go, which is it was several laps before anybody else came on pit lane. So I'm hoping they know what they're doing and that they can make it to the end from their perspective.
Well, that was lap 102 for them, Jeremy, and it was lap 109 for Brian Sellers, lap 108 for Patrick Long, lap 110 for James Davison in the Aston Martin. And he's only another 16 seconds further back. The top 3 in GTD split by just 3.5 seconds. As Brian Sellers took a little bit out of the leader that time around and then drops it a little bit on the next lap through. But that's the ebb and flow of traffic. Let's not worry about that too much at the moment. What's impressive for me is the way Christina Nielsen and Alessandro Balzan, once again, having started in 8th position, Christina made sure she kept out of the nonsense at the start.
She did a super job in the
I thought
first
that was brilliant.
Yeah.
Dropped down to 10th, but didn't lose rag, didn't get impatient. No, very sensible.
And moved back up before the round of pit stops as well. She was kind of bottled up behind Catherine Legg for a while, and when Catherine took herself and everybody else out of contention, that allowed Christina some clear track, and she made full use of it. Very uncharacteristic by Catherine, by the way, but hey.
Catherine and Andy this weekend. Andy's had a couple of whoopsies as well.
Well, you know, they want to keep that championship challenge going.
Yeah. I wonder if there's just a little bit of pressure on those drivers. The future of that programme not necessarily confirmed yet. Acura's works money going into Penske and to the HPD DPI for next year. We're yet to find out what Michael Shank Racing will be doing in 2018. That might just be causing a little bit of worry in the back of the mind of the drivers, trying to cement themselves in the minds of those that make the decisions. But that 93 car, for sure, I haven't seen it in probably, well, those drivers, particularly in probably 2 or 3 seasons of watching them drive, I've not seen them have as much contact as both of them have had today.
Yeah.
1.2 seconds, Brian Sellers has pulled the lead down from Jörg Bergmeister again, so that must have been just traffic.
And they've just been overtaken by the overall race leader again one more time.
Yeah. So now there's 2.6 seconds between Pat Long in third for Allegra in the Porsche, through Brian Sellers to Jörg Bergmeister in the 73 Park Place Porsche.
Yeah, and then the James Davison TRG Aston Martin.
He's just hanging there at the moment.
You've got to love that car. It sounds fabulous. It adds an extra string to the bow, if you like, of the orchestra that is the IMSA WeatherTech SportsCar Championship. Great to see that car back. And boy, what a great run it has been for Brandon Davis and James Davison. They haven't driven that car since, well, they haven't driven it this year anyhow. So. Oh, actually, James did a World Challenge race in the car earlier in the season.
Just enough for that, was it?
Yeah, yeah. I think it was the same car.
And missed that V12, aren't we?
Yeah. Great to see that local support here from Clydell, a local manufacturing business from here in Connecticut, and LaSalle Solutions, who've been with that team for quite a long time, for several years. They've upped their package and introduced some new a tech app this weekend.
There's a new Aston Martin Vantage street car coming next year, and therefore a new race car to go with it. As Antonio Garcia is about to put, oh well, he's been held up unfortunately. Otherwise he would have put a new fastest lap of the race in, the number 4 car. But he's behind the 16 Lamborghini, which currently has got Jeroen Mul at the wheel. He might get a little bit of a drag. Oh no, that's Tommy that was stuck behind that. So there is a new fastest lap of the race, exactly. 50.7. 50.7. So that's a new lap record in the race.
But that's Antonio Garcia.
Antonio Garcia, yes, in 5th position. Yeah, I thought, saw the overhead view, and I thought that was him getting stuck behind Jeroen Mul. It wasn't. Patrick Pilet. What Antonio Garcia is trying to do at the moment is unlap himself from the leader, isn't he? Because he's between the 2 Porsches. And let's not forget, points make prizes at the end of the season. He's 21 seconds behind Martin Tomczyk, lapping about half a second a lap quicker.
No, he's on the lead lap, I think, Garcia. Tail end of it, admittedly. Yeah.
Is he just in front of the Porsche then?
Yeah.
I thought he got between the Porsches. He might have just stayed ahead there of Patrick Pilet.
So 15 seconds between the Porsches now. That gap has gone out the last several laps.
Let's wait for Pilet to come round, which he will do in a second, to complete lap number 137. Right, Pilet's just gone through.
67 car, Ryan Briscoe is now closing on Lawrence Vantour. Quite considerably on that last lap, because Vantour must have hit some traffic, I would surmise. Yeah,
54.3, that's traffic lap, isn't it? Back at the head of GTD, Bergmeister, Sellers and Long are all within a second. Not of each other, I mean in total. There's a second between first and third. They're on the Sam Posey straight, the front straight here. About to come from our left to right. Do you know, it's lovely to see these names that we've watched for so many years, Jeremy, battling against each other. All being Porsche drivers, 2 of them still are. Brian Sellers, a long-time Porsche driver as well with Falcon. Now with Paul Miller, Lamborghini. Bergmeister, Sellers, Long. 1.1 seconds between them. And this is the podium as it stands for GT Daytona. Heading onto the no-name straight now with a bit of clear air in front and behind them. 7 years of driving a Porsche for Brian Sellers at Falcon. Jörg Bergmeister and Pat Long, well, I wouldn't like to think how many miles they've got between them in Porsches. You're coming up through the young driver program in Europe. I remember his first year over here, barely speak any English. He was tasked to do all the carrying of go boxes for the team because he was the tallest bloke and had the longest arms. He could carry the most of them. I remember that quite clearly when he was driving for Alex Job Racing out at Daytona. Smashing lads. And Patrick Long as well. 3 of the nicest people that you could want to meet, so long as you don't have to race them out on the track. But spend some time with them in the paddock and they're smashing guys. So Jörg Bergmeister still by half a second. Timo Bernhard, of course, was part of that cadre of drivers that came over. Sasha Masson as well, round about at the same time. All under the wing of the legendary Sylvia Proudfoot. Bergmeister then continues to hold on to that lead of GT Daytona. Patrick Pilet by 16.7 seconds from Vantour. Porsche leads GTD and is third. Porsche are first and second in GT Le Mans. And still the threat of rain, or at least a shower, but with only 36 minutes left now, that threat is becoming less and less important.
A big puff of dust there on the exit of the downhill turn. Don't know who it was kicked up that this time.
3 pole positions in a row for the new 911 GT3 RSR. Not yet had its first win in this configuration. Sage Karam brings the number 14 Lexus in from 13th at GT Daytona. Shea will keep an eye on that as we watch the battles at the slightly sharper end of the field that unfortunately Lexus have been involved with. Jack Hawksworth did a good job earlier on, but back down to 8th now for Robert Alon after a couple of mistakes by the youngster. More tape on the left-hand side of the number 14 before Sage Karam is thrown back out into the fray.
Number 67 car still running in third place, Ryan Briscoe Ford, and he got past number 24 BMW, then pulled away. The gap was out to about 6.5 seconds. It's now about half that. Martin Tomczyk and number 24 BMW is inching closer again. That's a trend over the last few laps.
So I'm not sure where I got the idea that the 911 RSR mid-engine car had won. It hasn't. Frank Stefan Volliser will hope that it will do at the end of today.
I was taking your word on gospel on that one.
No, I woke up earlier this week and it was in my head that they had 3 pole positions is for sure, 2 consecutively here and 1 in the meantime at the Nürburgring, but not been converted as yet. It was indeed Ferrari that won in the Nürburgring 6 hours. So my apologies to A, Ferrari, and B, to Porsche for giving them the race win early. But that does mean we can get even more excited if they win here, because it will be the first for that car.
All of a sudden, there's a little bit of breathing space between the 3 leaders in GTD as they head into Big Bend. Well, yeah, by relative to score, so it's only 0.8 of a second, is it? Okay, well, it's more than a couple of car lengths, let's put it that way. It's about 5 car lengths. It's certainly more than it's been for the last few laps.
Patrick Pilet had taken the pole position at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, but then the car failed him. Engine problems on that car. He was also the one who had the fiery moment at Silverstone in the first round of the FIA World Endurance Championship Easter weekend, that only very swift action by the intervention marshals at Luffield stopped that car from being a burnt out shell. So there would be a decent piece of racing karma if such things exist, that Patrick was to be the first one to see the checkered flag in the 911 RSR.
See, they're closer this time. There's only 0.6 of a second between those 3 leaders in GTD as they head around Big Bend.
And Shea reminds me that the last time that Porsche rolled a new car out, it was Patrick Pilet who got the win in it. That was at Daytona in 2014. I have no idea how she knows things like that, but she just does.
Yes.
Should have asked her about the win on the new car instead of making something up. I said it with such conviction, I convinced everybody else as well.
It did me. I didn't bother looking it up.
I called that race, Jeremy. I came away. See, I drove a Porsche home, so I came away thinking Porsche had won. Yeah. So, Alessandro Balzan continues this great run for Scuderia Corsa. He is 1.3 seconds ahead of Andy Lally, who's fought his way back to 6th. This has been a good comeback for the 93 squad. These are the guys in 3rd position in the championship. The car ahead by just a second is leading the championship. Aston Martin continues just to gently chip away at the leading 3, and now is just under 12 seconds behind. It's still Long, Sellers and Bergmeister, 3rd, 2nd and 1st, 28 Porsche, 48 Lamborghini and 73 Porsche. They are almost together again. Lawson Aschenbach has fought back well as well after a drive-through, and he jumped in the car, spun the wheels up and had to take the drive-through. While the car was on its jacks, the wheels were spinning, not allowed. And he's in behind Andy Lally. Andy Lally has got the sights firmly set, I would think, on looking... Oh! And I've lost Andy Lally from timing and scoring for a moment. Is that just a glitch, or has Aschenbach gone through? Right, okay, no, that's gone back again. Right, yeah, that was just a little timing glitch.
That battle has been continuing for quite a long time. The question is...
They're just coming out of Big Bend now, Jeremy, and they are nose and tail.
Yeah, that's right. The battle has been going on for a long, long time now, and they're not too far behind Alessandro Balzan either.
Correct. Just about 2 seconds. But Andy Lally all of a sudden is having to defend, and Aschenbach is trying to put his Audi, similar shaped car to the NSX. Saw an NSX road car for the first time back in the UK, and then here on this trip. And there are certain similarities between the NSX and the Audi, and indeed the Ford GT. Very handsome looking car, that NSX, particularly in the street car form. Very colour sensitive though. Onto the Sam Posey straight. That is the battle then for 6th and 7th. And whilst Andy's having to do a bit of defending, that's allowing the Ferrari of Alessandro Balzan to just squeak away a tiny bit, and all of a sudden it's 2.5 seconds where it was 2, and it was 1.8 the lap before. And Aschenbach is pushing hard now as they come through the S's, the right-hander, onto the no-name straight. Half an hour to go. 15.9 seconds between Patrick Pilet and Laurent Vanteur in the 2 Porsches that lead. Then there's 12 seconds back to the 67 GT of Ryan Briscoe. 5 seconds further back in 4th position, Martin Tomczyk. That's all GTLM cars, of course. And then just another 13 seconds back, Tonio Garcia for Corvette. And we think all of those cars can go to the end. It might be close for a couple of them. Might be close for the top 3, actually. Tomczyk could yet win this race if there's a cough, a splutter, and a little bit of fuel pressure problems from the guys ahead of him.
I don't think so. I think the Porsche should be fine. The only question mark really is number 67, Ford.
In the battle in GTD, 1 second separates the 73 dark grey and red Park Place Porsche of Jörg Bergmeister, the red and black 48 Lamborghini from Paul Miller Racing, Brian Sellers behind the wheel, and then Pat Long is in the Allegra car. That's white, gold and black. That's another Porsche, the 28. And James Davison in the light blue or mid blue Aston Martin, the 007 TRG car. Then is 11 seconds further back with Alessandro Balzan just closing in a tiny bit the last time around in 5th position. That's the championship leading bright red Ferrari. And he's now got 3.7 seconds all of a sudden over Andy Lally in the 93 NSX. And Aschenbach's dropped back to almost a full second there from Lally in 7th position. Is this the calm before the storm? Literally. Everyone driving their hearts out at the moment, nothing being left on the table, and with a rain front heading in from the west, there could be yet more drama in a race of the last 2 hours that has delivered much excitement already and some fine performances right throughout the field. XM Sirius here in the US and Canada, XM 201 Sirius 145, around the world on the IMSA app and at IMSA.com and IMSA TV, as well as our syndications through Radio Show Limited's network on RadioLeMans.com. Good to have your company wherever you are around the world, and don't move if you're here at the track. Do not be tempted to leave early, because this one is going all the way to the checkered flag. Shea Adam is in the pit lane. I'm John Hindhaugh, and this is Jeremy Shaw.
Yeah, as you say, now we're just over 25 minutes remaining. We think everybody's made their final pit stops. The Patrick Pilet is separated from the teammate Lawrence Van Toorn by about 15 seconds. That gap has been pretty much the same since, well, since they made their pit stops, really. So no change there. The gap back to Ryan Briscoe in third place. Just under 10 seconds now, so that's ebbed and flowed a bit, but there's no real battle going on there. The main battle in this race right now certainly is for the GTD lead, and there's still nothing to choose between Jörg Bergmeister, number 73 Porsche, Brian Sellers, number 48 Paul Miller Racing Lamborghini, and Patrick Long, the Allegra Motorsports, number 28 Porsche.
2 cars out of the race. John Bennett in the 54 Porsche with an engine issue. 75, Tristan Vautier and Deon von Molke involved in a bit of push and shove, not their fault. That car with broken suspension out of the race. Everyone else who's been behind the wall, including the 33 Mercedes AMG, back out. Ollie Gavin now in the number 4 Corvette, also with rear suspension problems after contact. That's back out. BMW 96 was behind the wall for a little while after Jens Klingmann hit a couple of cars and was penalised for it. Jesse Krohn is driving that car, and they are back into 14th in a point-scoring position for the 96 car in GTD. The top 7 are all GTLM cars, and it's the top 5 that are on the lead lap at the moment. Alexander Sims just off the end of the lead lap in the 6th place BMW number 25.
Yeah, he's been trailing the Porsche. Unfortunately for him, it's the wrong Porsche. It's a 912 car, which is about 12, 13 seconds behind the overall leader. So not much chance, really, I think, for Alexander Sims to get back onto the lead lap.
Well,
all things remaining equal, of course.
Yes. Everybody knows what I'm thinking, but I'm not going to say it because I'm not going to have the hashtag blame Hindhaugh if anything happens here.
Oh, Lawson Archenbach has finally found his way past Andy Lally.
Oh, yes, well done. Yeah, and he's pulled out 2 seconds, and all of a sudden he's got 2 seconds, 2.5 seconds on Lally. Balzan has closed right up to James Davidson. I'm hearing that there might be a third retirement here that isn't showing on my screen. Shea Adam.
Well, they're dismantling the fuel pump for the 33, and normally they don't do that if the car is still on track because you never know what's going to happen. So I'm going to have to watch out for that car. The people are still in the pit box, though, so they haven't called it in a day as far as the brains are concerned, but just an interesting development down here. Nobody else has done that.
Okay, thank you, Shea. I think the 33 is still on track. It's just completed a lap, Shea, hasn't it?
It just did go by the start finish line. I'm not accustomed to seeing teams. Sometimes they take down various bits and pieces to try and make it a faster getaway, but never the fuel rig. That's like the biggest no-no.
Well, they don't need any more fuel for the race, that's for sure. And if it is going to rain at the end of the race, let's get everything packed up if they possibly can. Plan ahead a little bit, I guess.
Might be time for me to stop doing this. It was Kevin Estre whose car went up in flames at Silverstone, not Patrick Pilet. He hasn't driven in the WEC this year. He drove at Le Mans, of course, which is a WEC round, but not at Silverstone. It was Kevin's car that went up in flames. And that I've convinced myself of for at least 3 or 4 races. In fact, since Silverstone, probably. So long, and thanks for all the fish. 22 minutes to go. Bergmeister, Sellers, Long providing the interest in GTD. Alessandro Balzan can see the Aston Martin 007. It's 2 cars ahead of him. He pulls out to the right on the Sam Posey straight, but isn't able to go by the 23 which he's putting a lap on at the moment. That's the Audi of Townsend Bell. Townsend has got Sharon Mull, who's having a battle with in the 16 Lamborghini, so Alessandro needs to be a bit careful when he tries to get past those two. I think he believes that. So Pile and Van Tour are looking comfortable at the front of the field, dare I say. Let's go down for this Continental Tire Pit Lane report from Shea Adam, who has John Edwards from BMW.
John, Martin Tomczyk is hunting down that 67 Ford. What's it going to take to get around him and get on that podium?
Well, we're actually a bit surprised that the Ford can run this pace. You know, having made one stop, that's a huge fuel number that they must have to run, and they're still able to, you know, only be a couple tenths off of us. But Martin's doing a great job. I mean, you know, a guy that's never seen the track before, and it's only 5 corners, but you know, that makes each corner count even more. So guys like Bill and I, who have been here for years, you know, we know every little detail of the corners, and you know, Alex and Martin had to learn it, but he's doing well. He's closing in on Westbrook. We'll see if time runs out or if he's able to get there. I mean, I think if he can get there, the Ford's trying to save fuel. He'll probably pressure him either into using too much fuel, or he'll be able to get by. So that's what we're hoping, but we got to close the gap down first.
Fingers crossed for the 2014.
Yeah, well, they were last in on lap number 128. So just basically 40 laps fewer they've done than Ryan Briscoe. And in fact, they're the best place in terms of the last stoppers in that GTLM battle. So there should be no issue for the BMW, and indeed Antonio Garcia in the better placed of the two Chevy Corvettes, number 3 car. So Patrick Pile, former champion in this series, of that I am sure. Might have had him driving all over the world and being involved in races. He wasn't, yeah. He is 14 seconds ahead of his teammate. He's got traffic. Oh, he's right in the battle for the top 3 in GT Daytona, Jeremy. Goes past Brian Sellers.
Say again?
He's just gone past Brian Sellers as the leader, Patrick Pile.
Yes, indeed.
As he's fighting his way through. And these are dangerous times for the leader, because all of these guys have got their own battles going on. Jörg Bergmeister is the next car that will go by. Just breeze the throttle in the final corner for a moment, trying to get the run on the 73 Porsche, which is very quick in the straight line. He's there. Jörg's seen him and just waits half a second before he turns in, if that. And that allowed him through. Now ahead. The next
57 cars just got past 63. I was just going to tell you that battle was heating up between Loss and Aschenbach, who, having got past Andy Lally, had closed upon Alessandro Balzan, has now made that pass. That is for the 5th position in class.
And he's only 21 seconds behind the leader as it stands right now. Track temperature, which was well up over 120 earlier on Fahrenheit, now comfortably into 2 figures. Shea Adam, what's the news?
91 degrees Fahrenheit now, John. So at the race start, we were looking at 109. It was higher than that for the Continental Tire SportsCar Challenge race. Now it's down to 91, so it is definitely cooling off. And the rain is in the area. Jeff Carter, who not only does the BOP for all of these wonderful cars, has said that rain was expected in 30 minutes when there were 26 to go in the race. So I think it'll be a wet podium celebration.
It's going to be tight, I tell you. We've been very lucky here because the cell of rain has actually gone past us on the north side by about 45 minutes. It was level with us, but it was just far enough north that we didn't get it. There's a little finger that's sticking out of the front that's heading this way, as there's some 33, Blake Mullen in the pit lane. Well, he can't get fuel because they've dismantled his fuel rig. And Shea, Adam, what's going on there?
They've plugged the car into the computer, so this has effectively become a test session for this 33 AMG Riley crew, and the car is still sitting stationary. They only have the computer plugged in, and Jerome has turned off the engine, so a lengthier stop.
Right, Jeremy. It is go time now. We're into the last 15 minutes. And I honestly don't know what's going to happen next, because we have had this phenomenal pace being set at the front of the field, by the way, by the two Porsches. Within a second of their fastest laps of the race, 52.0 last time around by Van Ter, 52.9 from Patrick Peely. All right, that's a little bit further out, but with traffic there, I'm not complaining too much about that. And all the guys in GTLM have been on it from the very drop of the green flag, and how the Ford has managed to stay with them and still save the fuel. That was an interesting comment, wasn't it, from Alexander Sims? No, it wasn't. It was from John Edwards about how they can turn those fuel numbers and do almost half as many laps again than the cars around them and still keep up a decent pace. And Westy there saying it was more to do with tyres and traffic than saving fuel that costed the time at the end. Thought that was an interesting comment, that the GTD cars on their new tyres were more difficult for him to get by, which of course makes perfect sense. And that was the tactic that the 67 Chip Ganassi team made. That car has been roared back and is the benchmark at the moment for GTLM. A 66 car.
The guys on the move at the moment is Antonio Garcia again. He's whittled that gap down. He's still in 5th place in the number 3 Corvette. But back on lap 146, the gap between the BMW 24 and number 3 Corvette was 14 seconds. That's now down to 4 seconds over the last, 16, 17 laps. So the number 3 car closing now quite rapidly, particularly over the last 4 or 5 laps on number 24 BMW, who is at the moment making no progress at all toward catching the 3rd place, number 67 Ford GT.
Vanto beginning to close down again on Peely. Belgian versus Frenchman. Must apologise to Patrick Peely, I got the wrong Frenchman there. His countryman Kevin Estre, who had the problem with the engine at Silverstone. Sometimes you can see too much racing, clearly. I shall go and download everything that I've done this season and reload it from the brain later. A relatively easy weekend next weekend with just one race to do. That'll be in the Porsche Super Cup. Those of you back in the UK, tune into Sky Sports for that one on a week tomorrow, Sunday morning.
Andy Lally, by the way, is back on the tail of Alessandro Balzan. That's the battle now for 6th and 7th place in GTD. The Ferrari of Balzan ahead of the Acura car number 93 of Andy Lally, despite all those various incidents. And over the course of the last couple of laps, Jörg Bergmeister once again eked out just a little bit over a second at least over Brian Sellers in that protracted battle for GTD. 160 laps completed now by the leading contenders in GT Daytona.
And James Davidson has slipped back from that battle. He got it down to just under 12 seconds in the Aston. It's now nearly 20 that he is behind Pat Long, who is 3rd. Lawson Aschenbach, the man on the move at the moment, although his move forward has just come to a slight
Garcia. Here's
pause.
Garcia.
Yeah,
number 3 car. He's, well, as they're all battling their way through some traffic, he's pretty much onto the tail.
Right ahead of him,
yeah, that's been a tremendous charge by Garcia.
Yeah, setting the fastest lap
he's
of the
driving
race.
well, isn't he?
Yeah, I think he's in the absolute form of his life, Jeremy. He looked so relaxed when I saw him before the race. I had to make a quick run across the paddock here, and he was still in his street clothes 10 minutes before we started the Michelin countdown to green. Should mention Michelin post-race tech coming up for our listeners on IMSA Radio. When the checkered flag falls, it's the end of the race, but only the start of the conversation. let's have your questions and observations, please. It's at IMSA Radio, and the hashtag is LRPPRT this weekend. And LRPPRT will get you through to Michelin Post Race Tech. And your nominations, please, for the spirit of the race. In your opinion, the individual or group thereof who have best exhibited the true spirit of endurance and sports car racing. And Shea, Adam, you have?
Park Place Racing, they had a rough start to the weekend. They had that issue in the beginning of the second practice session, meaning that Jörg did not get any seat time during that at all. They fought back through adversity at the beginning of the race. They had that tire rub on the right front, and now they are leading with 10 minutes to go.
And that will be hashtag LRPSOTR for spirit of the race, LRP for Lamborghini Park, obviously. And again, to at IMSA Radio, please. Jeremy and Shea will be joining me for that as we go back through the weekend's action. If you've got matters arising from any of the other things that we've been talking about this weekend, then by all means throw that in as well. It's Michelin Post Race Tech coming up straight after our live coverage from trackside and the race itself. We'll talk to the winners and then hand the PA off to the formalities here. But the coverage continues for a wee while over on IMSA Radio, our streaming service. Now, Shea, Adam, just a thought. The Porsche GTLM or the Chip Ganassi guys dismantling their fuel rigs yet?
No, they're not. And all of their mechanics are still fully clothed in the sense that they have the helmets on, the goggles on. Everybody's ready in case they need to make that last splash.
By the radar, it should be raining now. Somehow we have missed the splashes. It's well over to Springfield and just north of Hartford, but it's gone past us north of here. We've been really lucky today. Under 10 minutes to go. Antonio Garcia is on Martin Tomczyk through the right-hander onto No Name Straight with 8.5 minutes to go. This is the battle for fourth position, Jeremy. This has been a great drive again by Antonio Garcia. What a season he's having. Yeah. In the form of his life.
Yeah, Jan Magnus is doing an excellent job as well, isn't he?
In the form of his life.
Yeah.
I think Jan's not driven any better than I've seen him in the last 18 months, and he's come alive.
Yeah, I mean, 44 years old now is Jan Magnus, and 37 is Garcia. And, you know, particularly for sports car racing, experience does count for everything. And you only, I think, really get to your best when around about the age of between 35 and 40, and you can certainly extend that quite easily. Just look at Scott Pruitt.
Well, exactly. Exactly. And Martin Tomczyk could do his teammates a bit of a favour here, because the car behind him is leading the Drivers' Championship, and his teammates, Alex Sims and Bill Oberlin, are off it. Oh, I don't believe it. 7.5 minutes to go, and the Aston Martin has ground to a halt. The bad news for them is good news for Lawson Aschenbach and for Alessandro Balzan, if they're making up positions. The 007 Aston from the Racers Group has come to a halt on the inside at West Bend. There is a cut through there. He's off the racing line, and with 7 minutes to go, I think that's a dead engine for that car. Jeremy was just saying how great the V12 sounds. I agree with him, but at the moment it's making no noise at all. On the inside the track.
There's another spirit of the race.
Good
nominee, I would say. I mean, yeah, great comeback. They've been out of this championship for most of the season. Done a few races with the Porsche. That car no longer at TRG, and they come back with the Aston and giving a great run for their money.
Well, I'll add Pat Long to that, coming back in the championship after a little while. I thought Dion von Moltke did a great job jumping into a car he'd never even sat in before he took it to the grid. And there's been some good drives out there.
All of a sudden now, Jörg Bergmeister is stretching it out in GTD. He's got what's got to be 2 or 3 seconds, hasn't it? 2.3 as they came across the line last time around. That in GTD terms is a lifetime.
Yeah, and Jörg Bergmeister will not want to see a yellow set as third position car. Shea Adam is coming into the pit lane. Ryan Briscoe's just called the team on the radio. And have we got movement down there?
The crew is on the wall and the pit board is out, and ooh, they have a broomstick handle to hit their fueler with. So we'll have to see if this technique works. We have seen the leash used before. We've seen the broomstick handle used, but it's more effective when it is directly on the helmet as opposed to just sort of gently on the back. This is the first time this year for GTLM that the fuel stick will be used as the headlights. Yep, Ryan comes off, he goes to driver's right, he enters the pit lane. It will be a very, very short fuel for this number 67, but this gives up the 4th position and the 5th position as the BMW and the Corvette go by. Fuel hose has a little bit of issue going in. Engine is revving. The man is hit with the stick, and he manages to do it perfectly timed.
Well, that was 3rd position when he came in. He will come out in 5th position, and that means Antonio Garcia now is racing for 3rd place points.
Yeah, let's not forget that is the championship leading car, of course, number 3 Corvette. They came into this weekend with a 3-point advantage over Bill Oberlin and Alexander Sims, and right now they are 2 positions ahead of them on the racetrack.
Yeah, stretching their championship lead at the moment. Could that be even better? That's what I was saying about Martin Tomczyk trying to do his teammates a bit of a favour. The championship lead will be stretched, but he can hold them back a wee bit. He can take points away from Magnussen and Garcia. That is the real battle there. There's only 3 points between those two as they came in this weekend. Balzan and Nielsen, well, they had an 8-point lead over Keating and Blakemolen, and at the moment that is going to go out as well.
And we saw Antonio Garcia set the fastest lap of the race, of course, back on lap 134, about 40 laps ago, and he's still charging hard. He wants past that other BMW. Of course, Sir Martin Tomczyk won't want to give it up, particularly with their teammates being in the championship battle. Yes, I was just going to point that out, John.
1st and 2nd down to under 7 seconds now, and Patrick Long right on the tailpipes of the Lamborghini for 2nd place in GTD. It's been a great run by Madison Snow and Brian Sellers. I was hate to see that disappear. They thoroughly deserve this 2nd place, but you've got to sort of think that the symmetry of Porsche on the top 2 steps of both podia there would be a bit special, wouldn't it?
Yeah, so 67 car came out after making its pit stop just ahead of the race leader, so it's still on the lead lap.
Well, Garcia still pushing very hard indeed, and this is going to go down to the last corner of the last lap. What Antonio Garcia won't do is put himself in danger. He's leading the championship, and surely Martin Tomczyk, Jeremy, will know that there'll be no liberties taken. Balzan.
No, but certainly from the 25 car's perspective,
correct,
they will want the 24 car to stay ahead,
correct,
for the number 3. Yes.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. Balzan has been caught and passed by Andy Lally, so that's 6th position now. So 5th position has gone, and it's 6th position for the championship leaders. But no need to get in a fight from Balzan. I think that's quite sensible. They will have their championship lead intact at the end of this race in 2 minutes' time if they can get to the checkered flag where they are. This has been a good drive by Andy Lally after a not auspicious start by him at the start of his stint, and Catherine with a couple of dings on the car. But to get that car back into 5th position just shows the pace of that car as well. Bergmeister, Sellers, Patrick Long still together. Balzan's not out of it there, though. He's been sitting behind the 16 Sharon Mull Lamborghini for a while, and he couldn't get past it. Will Andy Lally open the door and allow them both through? This is a lapped car, and behind him is Ollie Gavin, trying to have a little look. As all side by side for a moment, coming down No Name Straight. Garcia did have a look. He's putting pressure now on Tomczyk. This is a position on the podium at stake. The first non-Porsche here at the Northeast Grand Prix. Will it be the front-end BMW, the front-engine BMW, or the front-engined Corvette? Across the start-finish line to start their 180th lap. Patrick Pilet will see the white flag next time around, and it's now as he goes past us with one of the Ford GTs ahead of him. It is the last lap into Big Bend then for Patrick Pilet. Claimed pole position, the first pole position for the RSR, meantime half a lap ahead of them. And here we go, up the hill for the 24 and the 3. The 911 got the first pole for that new Porsche. Now will it take the first victory as well? Cross the line for the battle for third, and Garcia is right under the rear wing of the BMW, but the BMW pulls away down the straight as they go across the line and down into Big Bend. As emerging from the final corner, it will be a first victory for the 2017 Porsche 911 RSR in international competition, and it'll be better than that. It'll be a 1-2 for the car. 3 poles in a row. Did you ever used to play 3 corners a penalty in football? Well, 3 poles is a win, apparently. That's what you get after that. Dr. Frank Stefan Walliser will be tuned in and jumping for joy at the moment.
Yeah, that was a crushing display by the Porsche GT team this weekend. Let's watch the GTD leaders.
And by the way, they've just done 70-odd laps on that second tank of fuel. So, Jeremy, you were absolutely right. They could go further. GT goes through now. Jörg Bergmeister wins it, and it's Tomczyk, but just at the line from Garcia by 0.2 of a second. Brian Sellers holds on to second in GT Daytona, and Pat Long is third. 4 Porsches on 2 podium on a 1.5-mile circuit at the Northeast Grand Prix. IMSA WeatherTech SportsCar Championship delivers the goods again. Shea Adam has Dirk Muller down in the pit lane.
Well, for Dirk Werner, it's not his first Porsche win, but Dirk, man, it's been a while for you guys in this Porsche. Does it feel good to be the first team to bring them the win anywhere in the world?
Yeah, that feels good, definitely, but more important for everybody on this team that we got now finally what everybody worked for so long. And yeah, that's a long time, over 1 year, where everybody was waiting for this win. And today, finally, we managed to get it in. We had a quick car in a lot of races so far, and this race just went flawless without any issues. Great drive by Patrick there in the end. And then with our teammates on P2, I think it's, yeah, cannot get any better.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Long time since he's had a Porsche, set of Porsche overalls on and won as well. 2008 maybe, he's going back. Vicky Miller says, spirit of the race to Dion von Molke. Hopped in last minute in the Sun Energy One race car, having never driven the car. Let's have your nominations, please. Hashtag is LRP SOTR to @IMSA Radio. And also, of course, for Michelin Post Race Tech LRP PRT. And get those in as quickly as you can. The podium ceremony's coming up. If you're leaving us now at the track, please drive carefully on the way home. Join us in a couple of weeks' time from the longest circuit after the shortest circuit on the IMSA schedule. We're at Road America, and Friday, Saturday, Sunday event covered live here on IMSA Radio. Shea Adam hustling down to Park Place. And Patrick Lindsay, what a drive by him early on. Jörg Bergmeister finishing it off. We'll run through the full results for you in post-race tech, but a fabulous, fabulous result for Porsche here. in the GT, the battle of the two GT classes. Particular thanks to everyone here at Lime Rock Park and to our technical team back in London. Tim Gray, our executive producer. And down at Park Place, Patrick Lindsay's already on his way to the podium, I think, Shea.
That's exactly right, and I think he might be a little bit disappointed when he realizes that they're bringing his car into the pit lane to celebrate with Jörg before heading over to the podium, but I can see his lengthy figure walking away. I can't quite get to him, though, in time, John.
Thank you, Shea, for your hard work. Coming up next, Michelin Post Race Tech. It's been a fantastic weekend of racing here throughout the 3 events that IMSA have put on, and once again the organisation has been superb. Now I can say it, full course yellows, who needs them? Full race green here for 2 hours and 40 minutes, and fabulous race officiating as well, with decisions on drive-throughs, etc. being made very, very quickly indeed. The guys in race control are not very far away from us. They have done a cracking job. Michelin Post Race Tech is next, and the formalities on the podium coming up with Tony Laporta. What a brilliant way to round off the weekend. Thanks to Jeremy Shaw, Shea Adam. The responsible adult was Eve Hewitt. I'm John Hindhaugh, and IMSA Radio returns in 2 weeks' time from Road America, from Lime Rock Park. For the moment here on the PA, goodbye, but we'll join our international audience, stay with our international audience for Michelin Post Race Tech, which comes next, live on IMSA Radio.
Now climbing out of the car.
This program is a production of IMSA and Radio Show Limited. For more, visit radiolemans.com. The checking flag ends the race, but not the race talk. Post-race tech, have your say. Ask the experts, make your point. Post-race tech. The end of the race is only the